world. This event is sponsored by Northwestern Mutual and the truck pull event. In lane 1, we have Aaron Murray pulling the truck there, the middleweight pro. In lane 2, I'm assuming we have Blake B. Hoffman, the 105 Pro-Am men. In lane 3, we should have Sean. Let me see here. We have Sean. Oh, not Sean. I'm sorry. We have Andrew Letty in lane 3 for heavyweight men.
Awesome.
Although right now it seems only 2 athletes are, so we might not have him in lane 2. So right now we have Aaron Murray in lane 1, and I'm assuming in the open man category, Andrew Letty.
And welcome back again, guys. I am one of the 2 hosts here, Zach McCarley, and we have the other major host here. I'll let him introduce himself.
My name is Alec Jose, strength coach. Thank you so much for watching this, everybody.
All right. So for those of you that tuned in this morning, we're going to be doing the exact same events, just a little bit different order, but now we have the pros mixed in with some of these top-level amateurs. So it's going to be a pretty exciting afternoon, and we're just going to go until it's done. So I'm expecting this to run about 3 hours. What do you think?
Yeah, the Pro-Am division is going to be run pretty quickly. There's really not that many athletes overall. And on top of it, they're so experienced, they kind of know the ins and outs. They know how to get in, get out, and just perform well, really.
Absolutely, yeah. A very high-level field. And, you know, this will be occurring today, but we also have a broadcast going tomorrow. So make sure you stay tuned to the Dungeon Strength RX YouTube channel for the live stream.
All right, the athletes are about to start. They're getting ready now. Again, we have Aaron Murray in lane 1, a middleweight pro. She's actually the current world champion in the women's 73 kilo division, current world champion, stepping up a weight class to compete. And in lane 3, we have Andrew Letty in the open pro-am division. So we have a world champion out right now.
Absolutely. Very, very impressive field all around. But, you know, I think that this is going to set the tone pretty well. In our very first heat, we have a world champion competing.
Yeah, when you have athletes of that caliber stepping in, and I believe, if I'm correct, Aaron Murray did not prepare for this show. She decided about 4 or 5 days ago just to jump on into a show she didn't train for. So right now, she's actually performing exceptionally well on an event she's actually never done. This is fantastic pacing from Aaron. Over in lane 3, we have Andrew really doing a great job getting that big truck moving. In lane 2, we have the gentleman Sean Houston going for it, and Aaron's about to finish at a really killer time. This is fantastic pacing from her with a sweet finish right around the 25-second mark. It's fantastic from Aaron. Great job, Miss Murray. And then Andrew Letty still going for it. He's getting towards that hump where a lot of athletes were failing before. What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, so we're definitely seeing everybody slowing down right there. If you tuned in this morning, you saw that was kind of the sticking point for a lot of the athletes. Right around that orange mark that's on the ground in front of the truck. The bumper of the truck has to cross that line to get a time. And if your time expires at 60 seconds, prior to you getting that bumper across, then you get measured for a distance for this event.
That was a fantastic first heat there. Aaron smoked that first lane, right around 25-second finish. And pardon me, that was actually Blake B. Hoffman in lane number 2, a 105 Pro-Am competitor. And the gentleman in the furthest lane, Andrew Letty, doing, honestly, a really great job in comparison to some of the other individuals that we watched, because that lane 3 is a spicy one.
Very. Yeah, that far lane. So you'll notice that we're having entire divisions run in each lane. And the reason for that is to keep the integrity of the event intact. It does seem that as we go further to the left, the furthest to the left truck has the highest grade on it. And that is to say it has a slight incline slope, which is going to stop a lot of the competitors dead in their tracks, and it's going to be extremely challenging for them to complete this this event. And it's very likely going to fry a fair amount of people, but they're going to have to manage that somehow, because we have 2 more events coming up after this.
Exactly. In this next heat, by the way, in each lane, in lane 1, we should have Samantha Ridge. In lane 2, we should have a Jack Turner or a Ryan Fell, depending on the fell here, the turnout rather. We'll see if it's either Fell or Ryan. And in lane 3, we're going to have Tyler Davis, a Pro-Am open individual. So another pretty stacked heat. I can tell you that Samantha Ridge is she's a newer athlete to the sport of strong woman. She won California's Strongest just about a couple weeks ago, actually, and jumped into a Pro-Am. So we're going to see how Sam does in her first real big show.
Yeah, this ought to be exciting to watch. I have not seen this athlete perform before, so let's see. We got a little slip.
I believe that's actually Ryan Fell in lane number 2. Samantha Ridge doing a great job there, really opening up on that truck pole. For a first-timer, this is fantastic out of Samantha. Let's see how she's going to do.
Impressive performance.
Right around 20 seconds, doing fantastic.
So again, we got, okay, so So for this event, from a technical aspect, for those individuals at home kind of curious, what technique works the best? Usually you're going to want to use your body weight to lean forward, and you're going to be pumping those legs, and your body's going to be burning because it's like an all-out 100% full body sprint for the duration of this event. And we see some of these athletes standing upright a little bit too much. They're not utilizing their body weight for the movement.
There's Ryan Fell utilizing
really
that pump that you
hurt
described.
them in the end.
Absolutely. Mr. Fell just used that pump technique that you described there. Fantastic performance at all the athletes in that heat. That's honestly, I'm most impressed with Samantha. I think she just beat a current world champion in the class below by a couple seconds there. That was fantastic.
That was a very impressive performance, especially for like a first high level.
I think it's her first high level show. Yeah.
Okay, as a pro, first.
And it's a pro show.
If you go pro, you've been in at least one high level show, right?
Yeah. Well, she's not a pro. She's an amateur. All she has ever done before is California Strongest Woman, where she won. So I believe it's her second contest ever.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
really impressive.
Okay. Wow, that is quite impressive. This is, for those of you at home that do not know, maybe you didn't tune in this morning, this is a pretty high level show. I would say that this is a national caliber regional event.
Well, at this level, it might be an international level show in the PROAM divisions. It's actually an international, I'd say.
We do have, at least one world champion in the field today.
We have one world champion. We have one individual who tied third for third at Worlds. We have another individual that took fifth place at Worlds. Another individual took sixth place at Worlds. So we have quite a few individuals that are placing. Oh, and another individual in the open category at OSG, at least he took top 10. So there's some actual international freaks here.
That's a stacked field.
Yeah.
Any way you want to cut it.
Absolutely.
All right.
So in this heat here, we should have Daphne Zhang, a national who took second at the Arnold. She's also taken second as an amateur nationals before in the lightweight category. Here she is stepping up to the middleweight category. We have Daphne Zhang in lane 1. In lane 2, we should have either Jack Turner or John Parker. And in lane 3, we should have John Reynolds.
All right.
So here we go. So far, none of these athletes elicited the technique that you thought would be useful in that pump technique, but we do have Daphne Zhang taking off quite well right now in lane number 1. Lane number 3, also impressive pace with a very parallel torso position to that of the ground with fast feet and hard pulling.
Yeah, a very efficient technique out of lane 3. That was his first real slip up, but that is a rough spot to slip up in, as that's where it starts to incline and seems to stick a lot of people.
Right.
For those of you that didn't tune in earlier, Alec, maybe you can describe that pump technique for us. That people may not be quite aware of. If you didn't tune in earlier, we broke down a lot of these events and some of the technical advantages or strategies that you might want to implement. So we'll be going over those again. But pump technique.
Yeah, so essentially what Zach is describing when he says a pump technique, he's really referring to an athlete placing their feet in a bilateral position, driving through their legs similar to that of, let's say, a leg press, and ultimately extending their ankles, their knees, and their hips simultaneously before creating that first step into the actual movement of the exercise. That's referred to as like a pump technique, or even a triple extension, I suppose is a term you could also use. Driving your hips forward aggressively and then initiating the pull by driving your feet as fast as you can.
Absolutely, yeah. And so a lot of times people will use that one time. They'll grab the rope, they'll pull, and their chest will come up, their hips will come in. They're trying to generate a lot of force and build some inertia into the truck for the duration of the lift. It was Terry Hollins who really first pioneered the double pump technique, where you do that twice, and it actually you start with more momentum because you're not moving so fast as to not be able to use that, but you can still get a ton of force into the truck and get some momentum. And what we noticed this morning was, especially for lane 3, which is the furthest to the left, there is a slight grade that really chews people up, and they're going to need to be able to generate enough inertia to get over that hump and keep pulling all the way over that hump.
Exactly. And this next heat, we have a pretty stacked heat as well. We have in Jessica Mitchell in lane 1, the current national champion on the amateur side for the women's 180-pound weight class. We have Tyler Buxton in the lane number 2 for the 105-kilo class. And for the open men, we currently have Brett Thompson out there right now, a fantastic athlete that took second place at Rainier Classic last year in the men's pro-am. So this is a stacked heat. I'm really interested to see how Jessica does here, being the current amateur national champion, also just having competed at Clash on the Coast.
Wow, so her positioning is pretty incredible right now. She has her head up. You can have your head up or head down. Really, what's important is being able to keep your weight forward, which means your shoulders are in line with your hips. You have a good body lean. She really seems to have had a very parallel torso to the ground, pumping those legs, and that was a very efficient technique. She stayed down the whole time. That was excellent.
That was an excellent display of technique out of her. And honestly, she might have just put herself in the driving seat. I believe as of right now, she actually might have just beat Sam's time. So looks like we have a really interesting show going on right now. Lane number 2 really working its best right now. It's an extraordinarily difficult pull right now.
All right, so we had 2 of the 3 competitors finish that heat. Looks like the middleweight pros were kind of struggling with that truck, but that's understandable. They have a lighter body weight, typically a smaller frame, and that's going to put you at a slight disadvantage for this event. The ideal build for this event is a heavier athlete with a taller frame, and they're going to be able to utilize their body weight by leaning forward and acting as a counterbalance to pump with their legs, and they're going to be able to put more force into the ground, which is going to translate to more force forward. So really, that's what the advantage of being taller and heavier in this event is.
Absolutely. As of right now, our placings thus far in the women's 82-kilo class, the Pro-Am. In first place, we have Samantha Ridge, again, the rookie, really showing up. In second place, we have Erin Murray, the current world champion in the 73-kilo class. And in third place, as of now, we have Daphne Zhang. And obviously, we have a couple more athletes to go, but those are the current standings. For the 105 men, we have in first place, we have the gentleman, John Parker in first. In second place, we have Ryan Fell. And in third, we have Jack Turner. For the open class men, in first place thus far, we have Mr. Ryan Reynolds. In second place, we have Tyler Davis. And in third place, we have Andrew Letty. That's obviously going to change, but that's the current standings.
Wow. So that's through those first 3 heats, and the separation between those first 3 athletes is
very close.
It's less than 2 feet.
And in this heat right now, I'm sorry, go ahead, buddy.
Oh, I was going to say, so it's really important to note that fighting for every inch is vital in this event, especially when a lot of the field is not even completing the event. You got to get that inertia built up. You got to get the trucks moving really quickly if you're one of those heavyweights, and you got to get as far as possible, even if it means fighting for the entire 60 seconds.
Absolutely. And right now we have lane 1, we have Rachel Bennett, a dungeon strength in-house athlete, taking second place at nationals last year. In lane 3, we have Mr. Timothy Buck, a fantastic open class athlete. And in lane 2, we have Andrew Babuk, I believe is how his Babuk, I believe his last name is pronounced. So another fantastic. We have 15 seconds remaining in this heat right now. Mr. Buck is not giving up on this pull. He wants every possible inch he could get out of this because he knows many people are not getting this particularly far.
Absolutely, yeah. And it looks like he may have ran into some kind of difficulty. He might have had some footwear mishap, or I'm not really sure. But those trucks are quite heavy. The 2 white trucks that you see on the screen right now are in the ballpark of 20,000 pounds, and I believe the one on the far left may be even heavier. Alec, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the weight of the vehicle, is that what you're referring to? And
the
distance?
weight.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately speaking, I think you brought up a really excellent point. That ultimately what this is going to kind of really come down to is the flooring seems to be equally as important as the potential weight in the vehicle. Now, the flooring here seems pretty decent, but in terms of the grade, this seems like there's a potential incline over there in lane 3. And more importantly, something that I didn't even think of, I'm glad you brought it up, was the tire pressure. It is possible that it might not be a completely full tire. Not that it's obviously a drivable vehicle. They brought it here, but there could be a little bit of air let out, not necessarily intentionally, just from wear and tear of the vehicle, that is going to play a role in the difficulty of moving the thing.
Absolutely, yeah. And we did speak on that a little bit earlier. If you guys are just tuning in, or if you're watching this after the fact, I definitely suggest you watch the morning portion of day one.
The amateur side of things.
Yeah, the amateur side where we talk a little bit more in depth about that, and we'll probably revisit that a little bit. But
I'd imagine if you're watching the Pro-Am, you're probably a fan of the sport. You probably know some of the nitty-gritties. But we're also, that being said, we're going to see some great performances. And we already have, so far, again, the fastest time out of any class so far might be by the rookie, Sam Ridge, how fast did she take that thing? She finished it in 19.28 seconds. That's wild. That is wild.
Yeah, that is quite fast.
All right, and our last, let's see here. We have our first open weight woman. We should have Sean Houston in lane number 1. We should have Mr. Tyler Townsend in lane number 2, who's actually not there right now, but in lane number 3, Caleb Perkins, who's really picking up speed right now. Sean as well, given this everything she's got. It's a fantastic heat right now.
All right, so it looks like they're using the same truck in lane 1, which is all the way over to the right. Is there any difference in the weight?
There is. So they added about 6 human beings into the bed of the truck for the open class women.
6 human beings.
Yeah.
I like that measurement. Yeah. I like that unit of weight.
About 6 humans.
In strongman, we don't use pounds. We don't use kilos.
Increments of human.
Increments of human being is what we like to use.
Again, Mr. Caleb Perkins is really he's right on the edge of finishing. This gentleman is so close. He slipped up there, but honestly, great performance out of Mr. Perkins there. Solid work. And Sean Houston, who finished that in a really fantastic time that we'll be able to tell you in just a few moments.
Awesome. Yeah, and so that's kind of a fun. We'll do a fun little math problem real quick. So we got 20,000 pounds, right? And if the average human weighs 200 pounds, we're dealing with a lot of human beings being pulled all at once, right?
Exactly.
Ultimately, right? That's pretty impressive.
I'm not going to quick math that, but it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's 100.
Yeah.
But yes, 100 human beings. That is very impressive.
All right, so in lane number 3, we should have let's see who's up next. Oh, apparently it's Jasper, if I understand correctly, which is slightly out of order. Jasper is definitely the next athlete in lane number 3. In lane number 1, however, we should have Poa Henson up next. Now, Poa is a really interesting athlete. This is her first, I believe, real strongman show. She's from Hawaii. I believe she boasts a squat of right around 550 pounds and deadlifts right around the exact same weight. She's predominantly a powerlifter who's stepping up her game in obviously a totally different strength sport, but at near the highest of level she could do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Viciously strong.
You said this is her first event?
I believe this might be her first strongman show, yeah.
Wow. That's quite impressive. Well, let's see how she does.
I mean, she's got some power going.
Yeah, she's
Poa killing it right now, driving through those legs.
Yep. Looks like she's moving nice and quick. Her chest is coming up a little slip. That's okay. We're going to keep the pressure forward. So that's one of those tough things. When you get moving so fast, it's really hard to keep your hands on the rope. And when you lose that tension, you can lose the entire momentum of the vehicle. And you definitely saw that in lane 1 right there. But man, did she get that? She got that vehicle moving so fast.
I tell you what. I mean, we're gonna really drive our attention over to Mr. I believe it is Tyler Gone here. But that said, Poa really just showed that she's here to play. Like she did not look like an amateur.
No,
She looked like who squats 550 pounds and was able to move well. So that's actually a frightening force. I can't wait to see how the rest of the show goes for her.
Absolutely. She was moving fantastic.
Bit of a heroic finish there by that gentleman. Great job. Again, I believe that was Tyler T. Gone. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, sir. All right, next on up after Poa, we should have Inez Carrasquillo in lane number 1. For those that don't know Inez, she tied for 3rd place at World's Strongest Woman last year, ultimately taking 4th due to her stone time. She arguably has the biggest overhead in the entire sport, and on top sport of strong woman. And on top of it, she's a really nice lady. She just won the Arnold Amateur, winning 6 out of 6 events, being the first open class athlete to ever do that.
Wow, sweep is
pretty sick.
That's pretty impressive.
Pretty sick. Now in our 1R5 class, that's done for now, I believe. But we should have Jasper next in lane number 3.
This is going to be a very fun heat. I can't say enough positive things about Jasper. He's such a happy guy.
One of
And
the nicest human beings you could ever
He
possibly
is
be.
always smiling, and that is truly who he is also, which is incredible. He's not just a force of nature physically, but he is just such a kind human being and always positive, even in the face of adversity. Something interesting that we might note is that he actually suffered a hamstring tear not too long ago. And so he's elected to come out and give it his best.
Exactly.
So he's really, he's in it for the love of the sport. And wow.
Not bad. Good performance. I say she get a little bit lower with her torso. Is killing this right now.
Both of them are moving quite well. I do agree. I think that both could do a little bit better from a technical standpoint, keeping those shoulders a little lower and driving more effectively.
Yep.
But holy cow, even for standing darn near upright, Jasper is about to finish
killing this. He might be the only man to finish it if Jasper pushes through this. I mean, that man's strength matches.
Wow, he is so strong. I just have to say, he is so strong.
I don't know if he quite got the finish. I really hope he did, but that was fantastic. I mean, honestly speaking, his strength only mirrors that of his level of happiness and friendliness.
That's exactly what I was
really
gonna say.
is a wonderful athlete to watch, and I'm so glad he still came through today. Hopefully he stays injury-free.
Yeah, and I do look forward to seeing him compete a little bit more today. I mean, really all of these athletes, but I have a soft spot for Jasper. I know I really like him.
He's a local favorite, everybody. He trains here locally with all the great athletes. So in our next heat, just a heads up, we should have Jody Kennedy, who's notoriously, usually speaking, an 82 kilo or 73 kilo athlete, jumping into the open. Jody's credentials include winning the national title in the 82 and 73 kilo class, as well as taking second place at the official Strongman Games 2021 in the 73 kilo class, only losing to her fellow competitor, Erin Murray, who's also competing, but in a different weight class. So Jody is a perennial strong woman competing in multiple classes, multiple podiums around the world in different divisions. She's a fantastic addition to this show. Just coming off, I believe, a fourth place finish at Clash on the Coast. So it's fun to see her in the open division here. Maybe it is a show that maybe she's looking to push for maybe an America's Strongest Woman. Maybe she's just looking to have some fun. I don't know, but I'm glad that she's here. And in the open division, we have Zachary Price next.
Excellent.
Who unfortunately I don't know as many fun facts about. But Zachary, I'm sure you're awesome, buddy.
Yeah, I will say that Jody Kennedy has been in the strong woman scene for quite a while.
Long time, a very long time.
And she's always a joy to watch. She's typically very technically proficient.
Oh yeah, especially in the overhead.
Yeah,
especially in the overhead.
And she's there we go. Well, there's a pump technique.
There's the pump.
There's a pump technique out of Jody.
She got it started. Look at that. It really
got
moving.
It going, which is going to really pay dividends in her time because you get a lot of power into that immediately off the start. And it might take a little bit slower to do.
Right.
And you might not feel as strong, but really breaking that sticking point of a non-moving vehicle is going to pay off, and especially the lighter body weight. She's at somewhat of a disadvantage in this event.
Well, I don't even think it's somewhat. I think it's a massive disadvantage. I think Jody's she's a better part of, I think, 5'4". She's truly not what would we consider the prototypical open class athlete, but here she is moving the truck. She's probably going to get it finished right about now, it looks like, and doing well. It's cool to see. I'm
all smiles.
Yeah, also, I'm personally not one to subscribe that, if you do well in a weight class, you should move up. I kind of think that's a bit of an archaic way of thinking, but I do enjoy that Jody is challenging herself in an open class show. That being said, I really can't wait to see her again at whether it be maybe America's Strongest Woman this year, if she decides to do that, if she gets an invite, depending on her performance today. Maybe she's preparing for another class show next year or even Worlds later this year. I'd imagine she'd probably do the 82 or 73 class again. So either way, that was fantastic. And not for nothing, Zachary really put himself in a fantastic position as well with that finish that he just did there, getting near the end. So fantastic work from them as well. So far in first place for the open class women, we have, it looks like Poa, the rookie. Oh no, sorry, pardon me, not Poa. We have Sean Harrison in first place thus far out of the open class women that have gone with 3 total points. We have Inez in second, and in third place, as now that is, we have, I believe, is Poa. Is that correct?
Yep,
correct? Okay.
That is correct. And then in fourth place, we have Jody. And
we still have quite a few athletes to go, so it's not anywhere near the end. So
it's
going to change.
Quite a few. I will say, the difference in time between first and second in this event so far is less than 1 second.
Right.
And so it is really important to get a strong start. We're looking at keeping the body moving, keeping the rope in your hands, and being able to keep applying force, because a small slip, literally a single slip with your feet on the ground, can derail.
Yes.
It can derail a first place run,
and in this
into
heat,
a second or third or even fourth place.
In this heat, we have Monica Johnson in lane number 1. In lane number 3, we have Bob Moyer. Monica Johnson is one of the best moving event athletes in the open class division right now. She is killing this. She's looking at a fantastic time to finish within the top 3. It looks like she dropped the rope though. That might not be the best for the finishing, but we'll see how she does.
I completely agree. And so in this event, it's usually best to think of it in 3 phases. You have the start phase, which is to get the vehicle moving, and a lot of times I would employ a pump technique, but if it's a lighter weight, I would just employ going straight to section 2 or like stage 2, which is really body forward, chest parallel with the ground, and then you are just pumping your legs. You're trying to keep your shoulders in line with your hips, and both your shoulders and the hips low, your weight forward, and you're pulling with the arms forward. And then the very last phase is if you get fast enough to move, it's when a lot of people will ditch the rope. I suggest staying on the rope and being able to use the rope to keep you in line with where you should be, because that was a great example of someone dropping the rope.
And then they get upright in the torso.
And then immediately chest came up.
Yeah.
You lose a lot of your advantage that comes from height, comes from weight. You lose a lot of your ability
fortitude.
Yeah, exactly. Positional fortitude. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's
beautifully put.
Appreciate it. And just a little more praise there for Monica. Monica Johnson, for those that don't know, she's taken, I believe, 2nd place at an amateur nationals before. She's also taken 2nd or 3rd, pardon me if I'm incorrect. It was for sure 2nd or 3rd at an Arnold amateur world title as well. So Monica is a well-decorated athlete. One of the most decorated athletes out here, actually, for the division. So it's really cool to see her. All right, so again, right now we have Britta Maggard in lane number 1. Again, a fantastic mover, taking 6th place at the official Strongman Games last year, number 6 in the world. And in lane number 3, we have Joe Stella. Joe Stella, another official Strongman Games athlete, I believe, finishing in 10th place in the open division. So we have some world international talent right here, especially in in Britta Maggard.
Fantastic. You see that's Joe Stella over in lane 3?
Yes, sir.
All right. I haven't seen Joe in a while, and so it's exciting to see him back into competition, going for it. He, everybody has suffered a number of injuries, but he's suffered a few injuries in the last couple of years. And for him to come back and perform in such a high-level show is
it's really encouraging. It's nice.
It's inspiring. He's doing what he loves, and he's just out here giving it his best, and I love to see that. He's also an incredibly kind person.
For those that don't know, Joe Stella is a fantastic coach as well. You can see him with the Kabuki team, who's one of our sponsors. The sponsor for this event, however, is still Northwestern Mutual. Thanks you so much again, Northwestern Mutual, sponsoring this particular event. But Kabuki's on board with this entire show as well. And Mr. Stella, I believe, is their head strongman coach. So very intelligent guy, puts out a lot of great content via Kabuki and via Instagram. Go ahead and check him out online. And it's real, again, like you said, it's good to see him back competing. And it seems like he's consistent with it. He just did the games not that long ago, and now here he is. Probably went through a good off season, trained quite a bit, showed up for this show. It's good to see him here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have some point shifting so far. So in first place, out of the 5 women who've gone with 5 total points, Monica Johnson. Monica Johnson came through and took the lead in that event. In second place now is Sean Harrison. And in third place now we have Inez Carrasquillo. So that's really fantastic. Those ladies, again, we still have a bunch more ladies coming, although Britta's getting input right now, so we'll see where she stands. But as for now, out of the open class men, who do we have over here leading the pack, Zach?
Okay. It looks like Abby is going to be, is that true?
That is Abigail Deal in lane number 1. In lane number 3, we have Charleston Easton. Now, Abby is historically an 82-kilo athlete, known to be one of the best movers in the class. She's taken second place, I believe, at 2019 Amateur National Championships. She took third place at the 2019 Arnold Amateur World Championships. She showed up to the official Strongman Games. Really was a contender for the podium. Unfortunately, had one bad event that kind of can ruin the day. But Abby is a perennial 82-kilo. But now here she is in the open division now, changing categories. So it's really exciting to see her move up.
Awesome. So we see a couple weight class athletes moving up. In your opinion, is that a pretty common thing in the sport of strongman?
You know, I think it is. Well, especially in strongman. You know, what's interesting about strongman and strongwoman is that we really see an embrace of challenging yourself in different categories, and I think that's fun, especially when you get to do a regional show like this. Now, fortunately for an athlete like Abby, I would argue, was the tallest woman in the 82 kilo class, moving up might have been a little bit more advantageous for her in that, you know, she gets to put on a little more size on her frame and really fill out the open category.
Yeah, and I think so. We just had an athlete finish in lane 3. I didn't quite see who it was.
I believe it was Charles Easton finished.
Excellent. Yeah, a very strong competitor. Pretty young guy.
Yeah, well. I unfortunately don't know many details about him, but I know he's a young individual. He really handled that truck really well. And I told you guys before that we're going to see some world stars come up from the amateur side of this show. Right now, we're seeing some of the best in the world do it actively right now, and that's really exciting.
Absolutely, and it looks like in the heavyweights, only 2 of them have finished so far, and it looked like Mr. Easton finished, and so it'll be interesting to see where he places.
Yeah, we'll see that right now. Looks like he's potentially getting a distance versus the time, but we'll see. As of right now, though, in this heat, in lane number 1, we have athlete Pauline DePinto, who took, I believe, 2nd place at Amateur Nationals last year, and also competed at the Arnold Amateur World Championships, taking top 5 there. And in lane number 3, I believe we have our last open class individual in. What's this gentleman's name here? Can you see that, Zach?
Bronson Tijuana.
I mean, with a name like that, Bronson, you better kill this. That's a fantastic. That's a strong name, sir.
Bronson is a strong.
Speaking
name.
of strong, though,
like strong, and he is performing incredibly well.
And he's living up to his name. Let's go,
Bronson. Position, though, his shoulders are down, his feet are back. He's driving. He's keeping tension on the rope. That's incredible. I would not be surprised to see him finish this. He's got great momentum.
Oh, he's doing it. Yeah, let's go, comes. Bronson. And Pauline DePinto as well.
Done.
And he finishes.
Wow.
He actually might be the only one to finish. And he was the last to go. We actually have 2 other individuals that finished in first place. We have a gentleman getting, what time is that, Zach?
That is 30 seconds. And so in the we'll see where Bronson stacks up, but that looks like it was in contention for the first place.
It might be. Class. It might be.
Yeah, so the 2 athletes that have finished the truck bowl in the heavyweight class, which is that 3rd lane, the furthest one to the left on the screen, they finished in a time of 30.1 seconds and 41.66. I do think that Bronson might have edged out those 2 athletes.
Yeah, that was a really fantastic performance from Bronson. As of right now, we still have 2 more individuals in the open Pro-Am division for women, and I believe we are actually done for the open Pro-Am men. So we have 2 more to come. Next up should be Gabby Dixon. For those that don't know, Gabby Dixon took 5th place at the official Strongman Games, her very first Strongman Games ever.
She's incredible,
and she's running with this thing. I was actually getting to a fun fact about Gabby, and that she has the strongest yoke in the world for the open division. But right now, she's proving that she can move a truck even more impressively.
And that's pretty solid positioning as well. I would like to see those shoulders down a little bit more. However, she's one of those athletes. You know, I think really in line with Miss Oden as well. Just such an athlete.
Well, for those who don't know, she's a 10-time All-American track and field athlete.
Oh,
10 times. Well, like she's actually arguably maybe on paper the best athlete here.
She's very impressive. I saw her for the first time last year at this contest.
Right.
And I immediately said, wait, who is that?
Yeah. Yeah. She's a true beast. Athlete Gabby, she did that in about 18 seconds, would put her in first place by almost, that was 17.8 seconds. So she's in first place by a lot. That's
over 3 seconds.
Over 3 seconds. That's fantastic.
Which is a ton in that event.
Oh, absolutely. I full-heartedly agree.
Yeah, when you get down to a time of like 20 seconds, every single second is a long time to be ahead, and she is over 3 seconds ahead. So I can't reiterate.
Unbelievable. That was unbelievable.
She's a very impressive athlete.
And right now we have Cassandra, or Q as she's locally known at Dungeon RX. This is her very first Pro-Am show, and probably I think her second strongman show ever. Q boasts a squat in the high 500s. She's one of the strongest athletes here in terms of static strength. And right now she's doing you can see some mistakes in her footwork and arms, but her power is there.
Yep. Yeah, trying to keep those shoulders down, trying to stay steady on the rope. It's challenging. this kind of event, it is unable to be trained extremely frequently, and it does require kind of a team of people around you to train it, because you can't really set it up on your own. If you have a stationary object that you're tying a rope to and you have a car in neutral, you really need someone like in the car, if not just to steer it, to hit the brakes.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't smash you against whatever you're pulling. So
with all that being said, let's go over our top three in each weight category, each Pro-Am division which watched. So starting in the middleweight divisions, in first place on this event, we have Samantha Ridge, the rookie, coming out on top with a fantastic time. Good for her. In second place in that event, we have, let's see here, we've got, with a total of 4 points, we have Jessica Mitchell, the national champion. And in third place, the 73-kilo world champion, Erin Murray. So fantastic work out of those ladies. In the 105 division here, in first place, it looks like we have.
We're still missing some injuries.
We're still potentially missing injuries. These gentlemen might not be here, but let's assume that what's in front of us is accurate.
Okay.
So in first place is Andrew Babuk, I believe is how you say that last name. Second place, we have Jack Turner. And in third place, it looks like we have a Tyler Buxton. So fantastic work by those gentlemen.
Excellent.
In the open divisions, we have in first place, Gabby Dixon, not shocking. In second place, we have Monica Johnson, also not shocking. And in third place, we're finishing off, where is it at? With Poa Henderson, the rookie.
Actually, we have Sean.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Pardon me. Sean. Sean looking like she's in third place.
Yeah, Sean Hairston.
Hairston, fantastic. Pardon me. Sorry, I looked at the wrong place
no
here.
worries.
Now, you want to help us out with the open division here?
Absolutely, yeah. So it appears that in the open division, no surprise there, it is Bronson Tiwanak. I hope I said that right. Please don't truck pull me into oblivion. Bronson, that was a very impressive performance, by the way. Second place, we have Brett Thompson. And then third place, we have the ever-smiling, ever-positive Jasper.
With a torn hamstring, no less. So that being said, guys, we want to thank Northwestern Mutual again for sponsoring this event in particular. Thank you so much for watching. We're going on a short break here until the next event. So see you real soon. All right, we're live. All right, everybody, thank you so much for returning back to the live stream here at the Rainier Classic Pro-Am edition. Right now, we're in the Pro-Am section of this competition. That means the individuals competing are either pros, both international, world-class, and national level, and some of the amateurs that are willing to step themselves up and compete. Now, fortunately for you guys, I'm about to be joined by my lovely and amazingly strong co-host in Mr. Zach McCarthy. McCarley, rather. McCarley, not McCarthy. Who's McCarthy? For those that don't know, Zach here is a former world champion in the 90 kilo division, a multiple time and national champion in multiple different weight classes. He's really good at strongman. My man likes odd objects.
Yeah, that's true.
He's a big
that's
fan.
True. Why you got to put it like that?
He's strong, because he's strong. Because you're a little odd.
I'm a lot of odd.
Yeah. That being said, we're back now. The next event that we're going to have in front of us is something that I've really been looking forward to in relation to the Pro-Am divisions in the Trump Circus Dumbbell that we saw earlier today. If someone doesn't know how this event works, Zach, what's a Trump dumbbell? What is this event?
Ooh, so this is an interesting event. What you're going to see is two different dumbbells, and in each lane there's going to be a red dumbbell and a different colored dumbbell. I believe in all the lanes today, this afternoon I should say, it's going to be a black dumbbell and a red dumbbell. Yep. The black dumbbell is going to be the lighter of the two dumbbells, and the red dumbbell is obviously going to be the heavier. Now, if you get any number of reps with the red dumbbell, it will trump or outrank or outscore any number of repetitions with the black dumbbell. Case in point, Alec, if one athlete gets 10 repetitions with the black dumbbell,
right,
the athlete A gets that, and then athlete B, 1 repetition of the red dumbbell, who won that event?
Red dumbbell, athlete B has won the event.
Correct, sir.
And one little caveat to this event as well, if you start with the heavier dumbbell, in this case, the red dumbbell, and you miss, it doesn't quite go your way, you have permission and you are allowed to go down and use the black dumbbell to get repetitions with your remaining time. However, you cannot go the opposite direction. If you start with the lighter dumbbell and it's flying, like, oh goodness, I can maybe do this, you may not go up to the red dumbbell. So fortune favors the bold in this case. Like, you really should potentially attempt that red dumbbell in this case, unless it's really out of your realm of potential to potentially score huge points.
Absolutely. And we saw some very impressive athletes this morning who had to take 3 or 4 attempts, and they were really, it was to the point of kind of risking the entire event, but they took 3 or 4 attempts, and a few of them squeaked out that 1 repetition with the red dumbbell, which put them ahead of a large portion of the field that elected to just go with the black dumbbell.
And would you say that's fairly common, or is that common amongst all events, or is that, something that you only see in certain events like a dumbbell?
So this is
and then come back.
I would say that it just depends. There are certain events that if you miss, you're kind of like, done. And, an experienced athlete will be aware if they're way out of the groove. But typically with an event like the dumbbell, a lot of athletes can miss a rep, take a step back, get their head right, step back in, and totally smoke it. With something like, we'll say a deadlift, if you give it a real solid tug and you were ready and it doesn't come up, you're kind of done.
Yeah, you're not getting that.
Yeah, you can walk away and you can say, I guess I'm just saving it for another day.
Right. So essentially what you're saying is anything that kind of requires explosivity and really just predominantly technique driven, you have a chance of kind of getting back if you would have misgrooved something, for example.
Absolutely. Only if it's misgrooved.
Only if it's misgrooved. But if ever it's an event that's like max strength related, you're not getting a second shot at that.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10.
Yeah, unless it was also like way misgrooved. But the thing is, typically with a static event like that, you just don't misgroove that kind of movement. I would
totally agree. That being said, we have 4 lanes going this time, so it's going to be interesting to see how they decide to do it. They might be opting. It looks like they're opting to have head-to-head for right now. So it looks like we're going to see potentially two middleweight women at the same time, and it looks like potentially it looks like we're going to have a lane just for middleweight men and a lane just for heavyweight men. So it looks like right now we have 2 lanes with the same dumbbells. So that's going to be exciting. Let's see here. We have Rachel Bennett in lane number 1.
All right, very exciting. A local athlete.
So Rachel Bennett and Andrew Bobcock is in lane number 3. So right now we only have 2 competitors coming out into the fields. Rachel Bennett is a local athlete, a pro. She took 2nd place 2 years ago at Amateur Nationals. Very, very talented, strong woman, and a bit of a slow burn. Rachel has been in the sport for such a long time, and it wasn't until really the last 2 years where she really demonstrated beyond national level ability. Bit of a slow burn approach, which is honestly very smart for a lot of athletes.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we do see a couple different career cycles, we'll say, for different athletes, and some people really explode in their ability and then fall off really swiftly. You know, as you said with the slow burn, Rachel has definitely been one that has been in the sport for years at this point, and has only really recently given more focus to her training and given more focus to competing at a high level. And I think that has paid dividends at this point in her career.
So let's see here. Rachel's opting to go for the lighter dumbbell. Andrew Babcock is now opting for the lighter dumbbell as well. Let's see. Hopefully, Rachel will get this dumbbell here. I believe this might be a PR attempt for Rachel Bennett. Unfortunately, not on that attempt. It looks like Rachel might. Well, she might give it another shot here. Andrew Babcock also going for the lighter dumbbell. Let's see if he gets it. Come on, Andrew.
Hold it. We'll see if he got the down. I'm not sure if he got the down call on that. That was pretty close.
Just off the shoulder for Rachel. It's a very hard event. If I had to guess based on her expression, she might not attempt that again with her tongue out. But
that's
honestly,
true.
Great effort by Rachel and Andrew there. Fantastic performance.
Absolutely. And this is a highly this is a heavy contest, truthfully. This is at the very least not light.
Yeah, exactly. Earlier today we mentioned how the amateur competition was really national level. I'm going to go ahead and say the Pro-Am division is international level in terms of weight.
Absolutely. I would say with the athletes that are competing, not just, with the weight. Yes, I completely agree, but not just with the weight, with the level of competition.
Yes.
Because there is a difference between going to a heavy event and having half the field zero. But in this case, we're going to see very few athletes zeroing. We're going to see a lot of action, and some of these athletes, it's going to be a rep fest.
For some, and that really speaks to the volume of technique and ability. But right now, in lane 1, we have Daphne Zhang. Lane 2, Aaron Murray. Lane 3, it looks like we have the gentleman named Jack Turner. And in lane 4, I'm assuming we have Bob Moyer. Now, I know this will be a PR attempt here for Aaron Murray in lane 2 on that red dumbbell. This will be a massive PR for her. Let's see if she can do it. Opting for the heavier one. She gets set up.
All the athletes up with the red dumbbell. Let's see if any of them can.
And Aaron Murray with a clean rep on lane 2. Lifetime PR. Good for her. Daphne Zhang almost getting it as well. That would have been so impressive out of a lightweight athlete.
Quite impressive. All right. Looks like Aaron is recentering herself, getting ready for another attempt. She does have one repetition with that red dumbbell.
Jack Turner with a fantastic rep as well. Aaron Murray with a second rep. Come on, Daphne, so close, almost in a squat jerk style.
It's very close.
This is really exciting stuff, guys. This is unbelievable. Out of even Daphne getting so close. Aaron Murray getting 2 repetitions. That gentleman, Jack Turner, I believe his name was, getting a 3rd rep, it looks like, on the heavy dumbbell. This heat is out of control.
Yeah, we have a lot of reps out on the field right now.
Aaron Murray with 3 reps. What is this? Let's go. And wow, what a heat.
And so you mentioned that Aaron Murray, was that 140 a PR?
That was a lifetime PR for 1 repetition. She did it for 3 reps. It looked like fantastic.
Very impressive.
She did not prep for the show. That's awesome. I'm all super biased. That's cool stuff.
Well, Erin is actually a local athlete as well.
She is. She trains at a Dungeon RX with you.
Well, she's been a talented athlete for many years as well. And
another slow burn almost, one would say.
Been around strength sports for quite some time at this point. I believe she started in powerlifting. Is that correct?
Yeah, powerlifting almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So she's been at it, for a while now. Lifting weights, I think she started at 18 powerlifting. She's 28 now. But yeah,
excellent.
Yeah. And Daphne Zhang, I really want to give a shout out to her. She's so close to that heavier dumbbell. I almost wish she went to the lighter one for some points, but she's a lightweight pro. She's up 3 weight classes essentially, 3 or 4, depending on how you look at it.
So you could say that what weight class does she compete at in pounds?
Well,
is it 140?
When she podiumed at the Nationals and at the Arnold, she competed at 140. Recently, she's up to 180. So Daphne's going for it. Okay. But in this heat, we have some more talented athletes. We have the national champion in Jessica Mitchell in lane 1. Lane 2, we have Samantha Ridges. In lane 3, we have Ryan Fell going for a lifetime PR as well. Let's see how this goes for these athletes. Lighter dumbbell for lane 1 and 2.
So we have 3 out of 4 athletes taking the black dumbbell straight out. That means they cannot go back up to the red dumbbell. What do you think of that, Alec?
I think it's smart. I think if you see Ryan Feld missed his dumbbell. I think if you see that so many people are missing that heavier one, it is smart just to get reps on the board, get some points in, because ultimately speaking, this is very, very hard. It's a very smart approach, especially if it might not be there. To go for a PR on the big stage is bold. It's not always a smart decision.
Absolutely, yeah, and keep in mind that in a professional level show like this, these athletes are traveling from all around the nation, and even some international. I don't think we have any international representation here today, but in a pro show, athletes are traveling for several days.
We do have island representation in Hawaii.
Oh, there we go.
And Puerto Rico.
Hey, you better say it Hawaii. Or
Hawaii,
else
I'm so sorry.
Grant Higa's going to get over here. He's going to whoop you.
That's right. Let's see. Ryan Feld might have got one rep. I really hope he did.
All right. Looks like we got a little weight, or sorry, not a weight change, just a readjustment. A huge shout out to our staff, our helpers, and our volunteers, people flipping plates, moving weights. Yeah, that's a really hard task. And they're out here all day. They've been out here since before 9 a.m. doing this exact same thing all day out in the sun. They don't got it made in the shade like you and I.
We're comfortable right now.
Yeah, we're sitting in comfy chairs, drinking our water, eating our pizza.
Being sassy.
Yeah, very sassy.
That being said, I have a question for you. Was there ever a moment in your career where you had to go out there, maybe it was a Trump style, maybe it was just a regular a movement for reps, where you essentially had to do a weight that was a lifetime PR on the platform?
Absolutely. Yeah. Many times. Yeah, I think the most recent one that I made that was a lifetime PR was in 2015 in Speedeberg, Norway, for the Axel Clean and Press world record at the 90 kilo weight class. I did 165 kilos, which is 363 pounds.
Wait.
And
you did, at 90 kilos, you did 165 kilos?
Yeah, I was capable of 400.
So that's because the current world record right now, I believe, is 167. So only a couple of kilos more by Narumo Ahipeni, the 2019 World Strongest Man 90 kilo class. So you're telling me right now, in all the years, it's only gone up by 3 kilos?
Yeah, and I mean, a little bit of backstory. When I broke the world record, no one else broke it with me, which meant they had to move to the next event. I had to negotiate my way into one more attempt, and the only way that they would let me attempt was to break the 105 kilo world record, which was set at 180 kilos or 396 pounds.
That's absolutely.
So I took a swing at it and I got it overhead, but I could not lock it out.
That's absolutely incredible that you're able to do that, and it's really cool that they actually gave you the opportunity. That's wild, man. And that honestly, not 2
times body weight, it would have been sweet.
Not to blow up, Zach, any more than I'm already doing, but it's been how many? What year did you do that?
Oh, 2015.
2015. So many years later, just for someone to raise it by 2 kilos. That's pretty wild. That's pretty wild, buddy.
Yep. Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, I don't think I could get back down to 90 kilo. That'd be a pretty big ask.
Yeah, that's maybe a little. You're 90 kilo plus right now.
Yeah,
90 kilo plus.
Yeah, I like that. 90 kilo plus. Except the problem is everybody I would compete against is also 90 kilo plus.
Right, exactly. And just one quick shout out while we're here, while we're changing the weights right now in the event. I do want to bring up the fact that this event is sponsored by a branch of the U.S. military in the Army. The Pacific Northwest boasts a proud military presence, with the Lewis McChord being right down the road as the largest military base in Washington State across Air Force and Army. That being said, it has 87,000 acres in size and is a home to 40,000 active duty military members. So again, thank you so much to the U.S. military, specifically the Army, for sponsoring the Rainier Classic. We cannot do shows like this without sponsors like the U.S. military. So thank you so much, guys, for being on board with this. It really means a lot to us.
Absolutely. Huge thank you out to them. So we have a little weight change right here. Are you expecting to see any kind of change in strategy?
I think after we saw that first round of athletes going, specifically the 105 men and the 82 kilo women, some of those heavier athletes are going to see like, okay, this is a lot more challenging than maybe we assumed. Maybe they're feeling their legs are quite fatigued after that truck pull. It's really hard to have a vertical dip and drive with fatigue quads, pre-fatigue quads. So I think a lot of them, we're going to see a lot more lighter dumbbell attempts here.
That is a fantastic point that you just made right there, because that's something that a lot of people that are maybe at home or haven't been around competition, they might not think about. That is, how does the fatigue from the prior events play into the current event? It's not that this is someone just trying to lift 130 pounds, 150 pounds, 200 pounds overhead. For the open men, we're going to be seeing some 240-pound dumbbells being pressed with that red one. And
it's an incredible weight.
Yeah, but it's not that they're fresh.
No,
they've
not fresh
already
at all.
pulled the truck, already exerted themselves to the max.
And I want to make a point here, guys. 4 repetitions for the sport of strongman in the open divisions. There's only been 2 competitions in the history of the world, I believe, in the major scene to have a dumbbell for reps over 100 kilos. As far off memory right now, the heaviest 4 reps competitions ever was the Arnold Classic this year, so that's a new one, where they did 115 kilos for repetitions. Prior to that, they had the Shaw Classic, where they did 110 kilos for repetitions, and that was 242 pounds. And prior to that, there was just one other contest, but it's escaping me right now. So right now, in this show, we have a 240-pound dumbbell, basically 110 kilos for repetitions. This is one of the heaviest ever put in a show, is my point, and it's at a regional pro-am.
Yeah, and I think that really just speaks to what we were talking about a little bit earlier, that this is a national level event at a world caliber. So it is, the weights are world level to begin with, but in addition to that, we have a world level of competition. So the athletes that are chasing each other down and competing head to head, that's what's making this contest a true contest, not just a regional gathering.
Yeah, this isn't just a thing. This is, honestly, it's the thing to do, honestly, if you're a weight class-based athlete in North America. The Rainier Classic is going to become, based on what we can see in the trajectory, a fundamental staple for, at this point, even international athletes for pro-ams, and a real groundbreaking foundation for the amateur side. You're going to find our next stars in shows like this, and I'll boast and say probably the best potentially out of this show in particular, which is really cool. It's really awesome to see Strongman Corporation put on these pro-am events that feature amateur side of things, because that is how we're going to push the sport forward. And I'm telling you, man, like in the next 3 years, we might see a 260 for reps in an amateur show or a pro-am show on a dumbbell. That's absurd.
That is outrageous. Something that you mentioned as well. I know that we mentioned it this morning, but this contest this morning and this afternoon combined, I mean, we have over 90 athletes here competing today. Right. And what did you say the collective prize money was?
$30,000.
That is a ton of money.
That's unbelievable. How much money in your career did you ever win in a single show?
Hey, let's not talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna say that. Not a lot. And right now, boy, you came in
years ago.
Boy, you came in at the wrong time.
Yeah. Oh, you know how many people have told me that?
Yeah. For the right time, not for nothing. The sport wouldn't have been where it's at if not for individuals like you. So it can be debated the perfect time.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, the point being that this is an incredible opportunity for the sport and for the athletes in the sport, and we have more and more promoters that are getting out there and really generating these kind of opportunities for athletes to thrive and to be able to support themselves through competition, which is extremely exciting. And it's an exciting time to be an athlete. It's even an exciting time just to be involved in the sport.
I mean, for goodness sake, an athlete was actually signed up for this show and she had to pull out just a couple of days ago, unfortunately, due to a change in work. Rebecca Roberts, literally the world's strongest woman. She was coming to this show. It kind of goes to show you the interest and who was involved and why. And why they're involved, because it is a show of that international caliber. So even though we unfortunately didn't get Miss Roberts, who I hope you're watching, thank you so much for even considering it. We have we have 4 of the top 5 or 3 of the top 5 in the world's strongest women here. And not necessarily from 1 to 3, but we have number 4, we have number 5 and number 6. Like, that's incredible, dude.
Absolutely.
All happen to be from the USA. One of them represents Puerto Rico internationally. So
excellent. All right, looks like we're getting close to being done with those weight changes. We still got some action over on lane 3 and 4.
Sorry about that, guys. One of my athletes was begging me to allow her to attempt the heavier dumbbell for one attempt, changing our game plan a little bit. So I'm back here. So. Basically, being a coach is being a dad, is what I've learned. Right. So that being said, with the lull in action, again, we want to thank our sponsors, really all of them today, you know, coming from Dungeon, coming from the U.S. military, coming from Puget Sound Pizza, Cerberus Strength, Kabuki, Strongman, all of our sponsors. But specifically for this event, we really want to thank the U.S. military and in that the U.S. Army. So thanks again, guys.
Absolutely.
Again, like, you know, seeing this amount of sponsors and really the caliber of sponsor at a show like this is really encouraging that, you know, it's not just like, for the longest time, it's just dorks like you and I that loved strongman, never even mind weight class strongman. Like, you had to have been a real nerd to even know that it existed, not in the not too distant past. Very so true. The fact that, you know, big branches of even of government like the military or Kabuki or big brands like Cerberus want to sponsor weight class based shows that also happen to feature open class strongman, strongwoman is awesome. Like, you never would have seen that not that long ago.
No, I completely agree. And so for those people at home, you know, if you're interested in getting into strongman, there's all kinds of avenues to explore. You can check out Starting Strongman on Facebook. You can contact a local strongman gym. There happens to be a logo of one right behind my giant ogre-esque head. That is Dungeon Strength RX, and that's in Des Moines, Washington. But they're all over. And if you need if you want to get into the sport, the best opportunity for you is really just to either go to Facebook and go to Starting Strongman and then ask around and see if there's a local strongman gym, or go to startingstrongman.com and go to their map function, which has a literal map of different gyms that have strongman equipment. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, Starting Strongman, like you said, Starting Strongman is a fantastic resource run and governed by the amazing Kel Beck. You know, you start there, you start on YouTube, even start with one of our sponsors like Kabuki. They put out a lot of information in relation to Strongman now. Check them out.
Absolutely.
Check out Zach McCauley's YouTube. But on that note, we have another round of athletes come up right now. We have Jody Kennedy in lane 1. In lane 2, I believe we have Poa Henson. And in lane 3, it looks like we have potentially a gentleman named Bob Moyer.
All right.
So Poa going with the lighter dumbbell, getting in some reps. Fantastic job, Poa. Jody Kennedy going for the heavier dumbbell. Let's see how it goes. So close, Jody, so close. By the way, the heavier dumbbell right now, guys, is 150 pounds. This is an open category class for that red dumbbell.
All right, so it looked like that was a very narrow miss, or it was just barely missed by Jody.
I think Jody could do this. I think she has this in her.
I absolutely agree with you. That was at lockout, and it was just slightly off center, and she caught it. She put all the effort in,
and there with the perfect catch.
Extremely,
it goes right to what you were saying. She got that groove. She misgrooved it on the first, came back, and that catch, honestly, she looks like she got 3 to 5 in her, maybe. Like, that was incredible.
And so this is one of those strategy components where, you know, Jody has elected to keep trying on that red dumbbell. She got 1 repetition.
She's happy with 1.
There are several athletes that have only touched the black dumbbell. Yeah. So that will put her ahead of anyone who gets any number of reps with the black dumbbell.
Again, guys, Jody Kennedy is a 73. She's number 2 in the world at 73 kilos. At 82 kilos, arguably top 5 in the world. And here in the open division, getting at least 1 rep on the heavier, like, you know,
it's pretty impressive.
It's very impressive. Like, she truly is a weight class athlete, and when she's, I would say, at her best, you know, competing against individuals near her size.
Most competitive.
Thank you. But here, still holding her own, because I guarantee you, we're not going to see. I'll make the guessing here. I'll say maybe half of the women in the open division will not touch the red dumbbell, if I had to guess. So that's really impressive from Jody.
To come out and throw it around, even with the miss that first time, was like, because she threw that with some authority,
right?
Like that wasn't I'm struggling in my elbow position weak. That was like a
yeah, right. Just a little off center, and that's okay.
Yeah, it was just a little off center. She knew what to do. She readjusted. She tightened the weights back up, because when you drop it, sometimes those weights get a little thin in there. This isn't just the dumbbell that they're lifting. There is actually plates inside of those dumbbells, because, you know, the metal's not heavy enough. So you got to put some plates in there, you know, for good measure.
Right.
But that is, it looks like we're getting ready for the next heat. We got a little bit of the staff running around.
Yeah, some weight. It looks like right now they're tightening up some of the weights. Some of the weights on that particular set, roundish of athletes, came out due to the fact that maybe a clip failure. So maybe they're replacing the clips or the tools that keep the weights inside. For those of you that are a little unfamiliar with the circus dumbbell, these clip-like mechanisms that keep the weight stable and from shifting whilst inside. That being said, we have our next round of athletes. I believe we're going to have Pauline DePinto in lane 1. Lane 2, we're going to have Abigail Deal. In lane 3, we're going to have Taylor Davis. So we have 2 open class athletes and 1 open class man.
Excellent.
I believe that is correct. Yep. Now again, Abby Deal is a perennial top 3 athlete in North America for the 82 kilo class. This is, I believe, her first show in the open category. So Abby Deal, from what I understand, is definitely making a switch permanently to the open category. That being said, it's not too surprising. I believe she's 5'11" or 6 foot tall. So she was a huge 82. Now she's still a large open class athlete, but probably gets to fill her frame out a little bit more.
Absolutely, yeah. That gives her a lot more opportunity for growing her abilities in the sport of strongman.
So Pauline,
as far as strength is concerned.
Absolutely. Pauline DePinto going to the lighter dumbbell. Abby Deal going for the heavy one, just missed on the red dumbbell. She's also switching down to the lighter dumbbell. It looks like we got 1 rep out of Tyler on lane 3. That's amazing. Lane 1 and 2 going for the lighter dumbbell now. Rep number, nice. Good rep.
Excellent rep.
Good rep from Abby.
And a close one. Tyler's got me amped up watching
Tyler's
him
getting
go.
into
He's
this.
getting into this.
I hope he gets this rep here.
I saw him getting ready on the side, and
he's into it.
Looks like he is ready for this. He's all about it.
Abby Deal, I believe, on rep 3 or 4. Oh, not quite. Not quite. I don't believe he got it quite, but it was a very close effort. All right, Abby Deal calling it there a little early.
Okay, we had a little weight mishap in lane 3 is what it looks like. Some of the plates came out.
I see.
So that's one of the important things. Something that was mentioned in the rules is we got to have those dumbbells brought down with some level of control on the pads. And this is a good example of what happens if, the dumbbell comes down to the concrete or even the rubber mat. Those end caps are more likely to fall off because there's no cushion for the dumbbell, and it'll jar the clips off. Even if you have some pretty fancy clips, which that dumbbell did happen to have some pretty fancy clips.
I believe it was the weightlifting style clips that they used. Yeah,
absolutely.
5 kilo, 2.5 kilo rather clips.
Yes, sir. Yep, those are them. Very fancy. They even got the Alico ones.
Yeah, also the best of the best is what you're saying. Very
I know.
Good. Very good.
Spare no expense.
So in lane number 1, we have Britta Maggard. Lane number 2, we have Cassandra. And lane number 3 in the open category men's, I believe right now at this point, we have Josh Reynolds.
Awesome. Okay.
Just taking a bit of a break here as they readjust these dumbbells, getting them in the right shape and size here.
All right. Yep. Just a little bit of. So this is a pretty exciting heat right here.
Yeah, this heat is athletes right just the top portion of the middle of the pack, so it's going to be really important for them, at least in lane 1 and 2 specifically, to really get some points on the board.
I'd say Josh, if I'm not mistaken, right here on screen now, is he's a pressing machine.
Oh, is he a pressing expert? Okay.
If I am not mistaken, he's quite the presser.
All right, let's see Cassandra with the fast clean. With a good rep for almost a good rep for Q. Britta Maggard.
Very close on that rep.
Josh just missing the heavier dumbbell. Britta Maggard going for a first rep in the lighter dumbbell. Again, Britta's sixth best in the world in Britta Maggard.
All right. So we're going to see, okay. In lane 1, we have that dumbbell up on the head. We have a couple different techniques here. We have some people resting on the shoulder, some people resting on the shoulder and against the head. And, that technique is going to change depending on the individual athlete and what even the shape of the implement. Sometimes the shape of the implement makes it more advantageous for people to rest against the head, sometimes resting on the shoulder.
Britta Maggard switching arms.
Yeah, and so we do have some. Okay, and wow, that is about the closest dumbbell press to not be made I've seen in a long time.
Unfortunately,
very tough one.
I don't think we got a single rep in this whole heat. Unfortunately, it really just goes to show, even for the pros, how hard of a show and event this is.
Yeah, and I know that he's an incredibly strong athlete, so I'm rather surprised to see that. But
I'm telling you, man, I think the legs are smoked from that truck pull.
I think you're right.
I think a lot of people coming in this a little too confident. That being said,
that is part of it. That is part of the sport, is being aware of how your body is doing and making correct decisions. In his circumstance, it may have been wiser to actually, it would have flat out been wiser to take that black dumbbell.
I agree. And honestly, right now, what's really interesting for the open division women, Jody Kennedy is in first place because she got the 1 rep.
Because she's a stud.
She's a stud presser. She got 1 single rep. And it kind of goes to show you the strategy comes into play with this Trump style event. She has 1 rep and she's beating these women who have gone for the lighter dumbbell. It's really impressive.
Yeah, and that was a quite impressive display. I would say if everything was going her way, she probably would have got about 3 repetitions.
Honestly, it's very possible.
The first one was a rep. It just wasn't held long enough to get it down. Second one was a decisive rep. Third one was very close. But right now we have the next couple athletes.
Right now we have Inez Carrasquillo, arguably the greatest presser in the open class division. In lane 2, we have Sean Houston, I believe, in lane 2. In lane 3, we have a Tyler Davis, I believe.
All right.
So let's see, Inez Carrasquillo, one of the best in the world at pressing. Let's see how she does here.
So
with the
I'm
heavy
excited
dumbbell.
to see her because I happen to know that she's a pretty darn good presser.
She is arguably one of the best in the world. So she went 1 rep on the left arm, 1 rep on the right now.
So she's gotten 1 repetition with each arm.
So she switches
she's touching
arms
and going.
reps. Oh yeah.
Wow. What do you so the weight on the dumbbell right here is 140 pounds.
150 pounds.
150 pounds.
Yeah, that's a
mistake.
mislabel.
Okay, 150 pounds. Wow, she's moving incredibly well. What do you reckon her 1 repetition max is?
Right now, for Nez has hit 180 pounds in the gym pretty casually on the circus dumbbell.
Wow.
Which is
That's a human being.
That's a human being.
We've come back to the weight measurement of human beings.
Yeah, that's whole human.
One whole human.
And
with
for
1
her,
arm.
For her, this is an event where obviously the goal is repetitions. But yeah, it's incredibly impressive seeing what she's doing. I don't believe she's stopped for a second yet. She might be good, and that's good for Inez. It looks like she got 6 repetitions there.
It looks like she stopped because she wanted to stop.
Yeah, if she needed an extra one, she could have got it. I confidently say that.
It's quite a decisive
Again,
move.
super biased, everyone. I am her coach, but I would say it was pretty darn good.
That was some very impressive pressing. Just strong. Only really 1 misgrooved repetition, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. That definitely was a goofy one.
And it looks like it was a right arm, but sometimes it just comes off the shoulder a little weird. You can even be the best in the world at something, and sometimes it just comes off just a little bit off, and you got to let it go. Yeah. Or else you're gonna try to save it, and you're gonna destroy your shoulder.
Honestly, exactly. Like dumbbell is one of those events where I would say, do not hang on. If it veers off from center line of the body, center mass, do not hang on, because that's how you lose a tricep. That's how you lose a labrum. It's just not worth it. Drop it. Reorganize yourself. Honestly, kind of like Jody Kennedy. Jody Kennedy dropped that thing.
Yeah.
She regrouped, got their groove back, and smoked a rep.
If I'm not mistaken, she actually dropped it and then looked to her judge and pointed at it and said, "Sorry."
Yeah.
How polite is that? And then she turned it up and she readjusted her weight.
Exactly.
She readjusted her own weight.
Exactly. And right now, in this final heat for the open class women, we have Gabby Dixon in lane 2. In lane 1, we have Monica Johnson. And in lane 3, I believe we are eventually going to have a Zachary Price or a Joe Stella. We'll find out in just a moment. Oh, so it's just the ladies. We're just going ladies now. Okay. So we're going to wait for the heavyweight men. We're going for just the ladies. And Monica Johnson in lane 1, Gabby Dixon in lane 2.
All right.
Interesting approach right now for Gabby Dixon. This would be a 20-pound PR going for the heavier dumbbell.
Looks very confident with the clean. Very confident.
Let's see.
Big drive. Let's see what happens.
No, that's a cheat.
No,
silly.
It with the other arm. That's okay.
Yeah, so she's switching right to the lighter one.
Swiftly. That is wise.
Smart
That's a wise
move.
competitive awareness. She missed the rep. She said, "I'm only taking 1 attempt at it. That's okay. Moving on to the other one."
And honestly, if she gets 3 or more, she's on the board. She doesn't need many to do well. It's a very smart approach by Gabby Dixon here.
Very
Monica
wise.
Johnson really trying to accumulate power and energy out of herself unfortunately, I don't think Gabby got that rep. Monica Johnson really giving her best shot here.
Yeah, so that it looks like Gabby got a little off center on that last repetition, and she did the exact correct thing. She just got out of the way of the implement, because that implement doesn't care if you're going to be all right wherever it happens to land. And the best thing you can do sometimes is just get out of the way, keep yourself safe. The equipment can be replaced, but people can't.
Exactly, I full-heartedly agree. And none of these athletes will ever try to purposely hurt equipment out of frustration. That being said, though, if it's your shoulder life and the dumbbell. You drop the dumbbell.
And truthfully, she really tried to squeak that one out. She really hung on to it. If you go back and watch it,
It was
I
close.
wish we had the instant replay. That'd be cool. But
it would be
but
convenient.
if she had held on to that any longer, I would have been kind of upset because she was risking it.
Well,
like she was
exactly.
really fighting for that rep. And I understand why, but
and honestly, what's interesting, she still takes 4th place in getting 1 rep in the event.
that's pretty impressive.
So,
I mean, she's as I mentioned earlier, she's quite an impressive athlete. So I'm excited to see how the rest of the weekend unfolds for her. And those of you at home that are unaware, we also have the day 2 of the amateur competition tomorrow morning at 9 to 12.
Yep.
9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to noon. And then the pro show, day 2, resuming at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow. We also have 2 more events. Sorry, 1 more. I got mixed up.
Today.
Yeah, 1 more event, which is going to be the... you want to tell them what it is?
We have.
I'm so
I'm
excited
gonna
to watch
dub it
this.
as the death medley.
Oh, I love this.
So this event is truly cruel. Essentially, what you're having to have to do as an athlete is run the yoke down 50 feet, jog back, then pick up farmer handles and run those down 50 feet for an AMRAP. What that means is essentially as many repetitions, as many rounds as you can within 90 seconds. This is genuinely one of the most energy demanding, awful events anyone really has come up with that I've ever seen in a contest.
And in my, I mean, to my knowledge, this is the first of its kind.
I've never seen this. I've never seen this event specifically, and I've seen you and me. We've seen a lot of strongman contests.
Oh yeah,
you even more so. So I've never seen this one.
And I've done a lot of training as well, and I've intentionally in my own training expanded my time domains to 75 seconds, sometimes 90, sometimes 120. But this kind of event, you know, it would be one thing if this were a training event utilized to increase your ability to exert yourself for a time domain, but which was what I utilized it for. But 90 seconds in an actual contest where you're expected to just keep moving under constant load like this,
unbelievable.
It's going to be for those of you at home who like watching people suffer.
This is it.
Break out the popcorn, kick up the feet on the lounger wherever you're at. You know, it's going to be quite the sight to behold.
Absolutely. And honestly, you know, the only event that I've seen somewhat similar to this was that World Ultimate Strongman and Woman back in 2020, I believe, the latter half of 2020, where they had the yoke for distance essentially. They gave them 60 feet course, down and back with a very heavy weight, as many rounds as you could. So, but this is essentially that, but with another implement. Like it's brutal.
And that transition, that transition between implements is one of the things that is really taxing on people. It's one thing to lift, turn around, do it again, turn around again. You can think of it as kind of like single tasking, but when you're switching from yoke, now I need a transition. Now it's farmers. Now I actually have to run back to the yoke. Those kind of transitions can really shake things up. And it becomes, it requires additional skills to be able to be good at that. So,
absolutely.
And it's taxing. It's really taxing mentally.
Yeah, we still have to finish this event. We have a lot of heavyweight men to watch, but some of the skills that it does require to be proficient at that event, I would say, again, most people, I think, didn't quite assume this, but I'm going to go and say the grip is going to be the really number one limiting factor here today on this event. I know a guy like you is something that never even crosses your mind because of how good your grip is.
It's true.
But it really is, I think, going to be the number one factor. But close to it, if not equally as important, is going to be your cardiovascular ability. Like your ability just to stay within a heart range, a beats per minute, rather, that's sustainable. Like, you know, and that's something that can be managed with, you know, literal cardiovascular training in the form of sprints and cardio, whatever. But more importantly, pacing. The pacing is going to be incredibly important on this next event. You know, if you come out guns a-blazing and hot, even regardless if you have great cardio, regardless if you have a great grip, you're going to ruin the event for yourself.
I absolutely agree. I think that you hit all the major points right there. I look at this event and I honestly think conditioning is going to be number one. But this morning, it seemed that grip was a lot more of a factor than I originally had planned. And I was pretty surprised because you absolutely called that this morning. We'll see what it goes like for the pros. But yeah, I feel like the first thing is going to be conditioning, your core stability, your ability to keep breathing under load and keep moving forward. And then Second to that is going to be grip. We're going to see people with a little bit of grip failure. I kind of don't expect to see that too much at the pro level, but we might be seeing that at the pro level.
Right.
And then just being able to work and pace yourself through a 90-second time window. I wouldn't be surprised, even at the pro level, if we see a couple people really blow up around the halfway point, 45 seconds, 50 seconds, maybe 60 seconds, where they just set it down and they're done. I wouldn't be surprised, even at the pro level, to see that happen to a couple athletes,
I
because
absolutely agree.
it's an incredibly heavy weight. We are, we're already pre-fatigued from 2 prior events, and this is kind of the first of its kind,
right?
As far as
it really is
as this kind of event. So if you don't foresee that, if you don't plan for it, if you don't pace yourself from the start, you can get into some deep water before you're ready, and it's going to be hard to just move at all.
And I think pacing, man, especially if you're an individual with the keys that already has the major abilities or keys for success, the pacing is so important. This kind of reminds me of very similar to the, I believe it would have been oh goodness gracious, I believe it would have been the 2017 or 2018 CrossFit Games, where it was Matt Fraser's last games, and in the final event, he was going against Noah Olson, who was, I believe, ahead on points at that point. And, it came down to the final event, and really the only reason why Matt won it is because you could tell Noah was pushing himself slightly harder than he needed to out of fear of losing the show. And that slight push, even if it was like 3 to 5% extra that was unnecessary, allowed Fraser, who was pacing at a brilliant pace, just to surpass him at the end there with ample energy in the tank afterwards. And I know for a lot of strongman fans, that might be a really lame reference, but it is important in terms of pacing, a good comparison. Check out those games if you ever get bored.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely, so I enjoy watching other sports as well, especially any kind of iron sport, be it powerlifting, weightlifting, be it even Highland Games stuff, strongman, of course, but also that includes CrossFit. I think all of these sports have application, and especially today for this event, I think that is a very valid comparison of the importance of pacing. Usually we don't talk about that too much in strongman. I'll talk to athletes about that, but I don't really talk to the public about that too much, because that's a slightly more advanced thing that athletes will manage, like in the dumbbell, for example.
Right.
I would definitely suggest people that are planning to get over 6 or 7 repetitions to be able to press with both arms, and to be able to know how many repetitions before they get gassed, and then really hit a couple repetitions, maybe plan a 10-second rest, 15-second rest, and then blow it out right through the end.
Right.
And, that's a pacing strategy. But with this next event that's coming up after the dumbbell resumes, or after we finish up the dumbbell, with this next event, it's going to be, it's another level of pacing, a 90-second time domain. We've seen it a couple times in strongman, but never like this. Right. The couple times that we've seen are for, between 3 and 6 repetitions on a really heavy axle clean and press at the Arnold, or something of that nature, but never for one that athletes are going to be carrying heavy loads for several hundred feet.
What's interesting about this event in particular, it's not like it's exactly light weights, either. Like they're I would say these weights are comparable to about 90% of what you would see at a world championships. So to have to do that for 90 seconds is brutal. It is brutal. So it's not even like they're going extremely light. It's not like it's a CrossFit event where they're going just back and forth endlessly. It's going to be hell.
It's true. I've always, it's not a slam on anyone or any sport, but I've always kind of said that CrossFitters are like the, like the Prius of the strength world, and they're
keep on going, very dependable.
Pretty dependable. Can keep going. Like maybe doesn't have the get up and go, but like then strongmen are more like they're like the
a matchbox car that explodes after one sweet race.
Maybe the quarter-mile sprint car. Right. And then like
it's real fast for about 8 seconds.
After one go, you got to replace the cylinders. The blocks kind of bend.
Engines in the back of the car. It's all ridiculous. But no, it is really cool to kind of see this sort of energy system being challenged without the sacrifice of the weight. Because at the end of the day, it is strongman. Within strongman, it's going to be inclined to be towards heavier things, and that's okay. But it's nice to see that these heavier things could even be challenged in an unconventional way in this particular event. That said, though, right now we're just fixing up the flooring here and taping up one of the dumbbells for those of you that are still watching and waiting for the heavyweight men to finish. One of the dumbbells seems to be having a harder time than the others to keep in the weight and the load, and that's okay. So right now you see that they're putting some tape to the application to make sure it doesn't move, and it looks like they're creating a better platform for the athletes to finish on up, and we'll be done with this relatively soon with this event in particular.
All right. So, yeah, this is one of those unforeseen variables in the sport of strongman where I personally love it. It's I've been to contests where, you have to do the best with what you have. Sometimes in the beginning of a contest, it's not raining. And then by the time the last athletes go in a heat in the same event, it is raining. And that's kind of a different event,
it's
honestly.
Very different.
Especially if it's something like stone loading, which I've experienced personally as a competitor. And you just got to roll with the punches. So it's not that these athletes are just physically strong. They have to be mentally strong and able in order to endure these kind of things and in order to perform their best. Because one thing to completely fall apart, but these athletes have prepped for weeks and weeks, in many of their circumstances, months or years to get to this level.
Right.
And they're not going to let some dumbbell get in their way.
No.
They're going to say, tape it up and let's go.
Let's go. Let's do the thing, And like you said, like these people care. And what's really nice about strongman and strongwomen in general, and again, it's not that we want, unforeseen events like this to happen. It's not like we want the equipment to break. But what I really appreciate about strongman and strongwoman athletes is that they're, in my opinion, the best at rolling with the punches. For example, I can think of some other sports where if you were to bring out suddenly a slightly different piece of equipment, heads would be rolling. But, people in strongman, strongwomen, even at the highest level, like, whatever, let's just get it done.
Entire scandals have been built around that inflate gate. Like, come on.
Right.
Oh, the PSI was doing that.
That's right.
Oh, come on.
Just throw the ball.
Just throw the damn ball.
Look at this epic platform they've created for the remainder of the heavyweight man. That's amazing.
That is proper. All right. So you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, we have the formerly red dumbbell, now red striped dumbbell. And on the left, we have the black dumbbell. Again, the dumbbell on the right is 240 pounds. And the dumbbell on the left is going to be 220 pounds. So we see that this athlete is going to make an effort at the 240-pound dumbbell. It looks like it's a little unstable on the shoulder.
Tyler Davies, for reference for anyone watching.
Excellent. So it looks like he's elected to drop down to the next weight. So that's 220 pounds. That is a large,
still 100-kilo dumbbell.
Yeah, a large, full-grown human being.
For those curious, at World's Strongest Man in 2019, this was the weight for reps.
Absolutely.
Or in the medley, I should say. It was in the medley. It's 100 kilos. This is not a joke.
Yeah, and many of these athletes are not just new to the world scene, but have been experienced on the world level of competition.
Absolutely. This is unbelievable weight to see at a Pro-Am. Hopefully Tyler Davies can get one good rep in here. It'd be awesome for him. Just unfortunately missed it. Good job to Tyler Davies giving it a genuine shot here.
Yeah, excellent effort.
Our next athlete should be Andrew Letty. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing your last name wrong, buddy. But Andrew,
I think you nailed it. You got it. So Andrew is a very interesting dynamic athlete who you take it over.
Yep. Andrew, again, a very, very strong individual, really getting ready to attack this. It looks like he's setting himself up. Looks like he's setting himself up for the lighter dumbbell to start off. Hopefully Andrew gets that there. Oh, different clean style going off the leg.
All right, yeah. So it looks like Andrew is attempting to clean that dumbbell up right now, getting it into position. I know Andrew's physically gone through a couple changes. I know that he's dropped a little bit of body weight and elected to be a leaner, more dynamic athlete. But sometimes we see that impacting individuals' ability to press.
Right.
Some static movement can be impacted by that.
Yeah.
Typically, your moving is way better.
Yeah. So
and your endurance.
I would agree. I'd say generally speaking, with athletes who opt to lose some weight, whether it be body fat or not, generally speaking, the press will go down, the deadlift will go up due to better positions, able to sustain, and the moving will get better. So it really kind of comes down to what you value more and maybe where your strengths are. Unfortunately, Andrew did not get any reps on the lighter dumbbell. That's okay. Again, it's 100 kilos. Genuine, really good effort there.
Absolutely, yeah. So it looks like Zach Price is up next. We still have quite a few athletes to go through here. So we're just going to keep hitting one at a time. All right. And it's starting to get a little windy out here. Starting to get a little gray. Very predictable for the Pacific Northwest. Hopefully the rain holds out till the next event.
I'm really hoping for that. That would really be very unfortunate if we got some rain on the moving event. But that said, we have Mr. Zachary Price going for the 240-pound dumbbell, opting for the heavier one. Great clean.
Excellent.
Let's see what Zach's got. Oh, wow. Fantastic.
Very decisive press.
Fantastic. That honestly, this gentleman looks like he might have 2 or 3 in him.
Oh yeah. If he presses it, if he does the exact same thing, he's going to get several repetitions of that. It looks very decisive.
And he gets the down call. This is absolutely amazing. This is just about every bit of 110 kilos for those watching, 240 pounds. This is incredible. This is genuine world level, world's strongest man weight, surpassing it even.
All right, so he's got that dumbbell balanced right between his shoulder and head, attempting that third repetition. It was very close.
Very close miss there by Zach. I think he's got one more in him.
I agree. I think if he paces it, he's just going straight for it.
Oh,
I think it may have been slightly wiser to take a 10-second rest, kind of shake out the arm, get prepared for a third repetition. But 2 reps,
Zach Price
is
easily
very
launching
good.
himself into first place with 2 repetitions on the 240-pound dumbbell. Again, that would have put him, I believe, genuinely right, possibly in the middle of the pack at the Shaw Classic, for example, where they had a 242-pound dumbbell for reps.
Absolutely.
Famously, where Novikov hit, I believe, 9 repetitions at it. Something unbelievable.
He is Novikov is very impressive. He is
big a dumbbell.
He's just an extremely dynamic athlete who has figured that out, and he also has he's developed his static strength enough that he is extremely dangerous at any contest he arrives at.
And now we have Joe Stella opting to go for the heavier dumbbell. Let's go, Joe Stella.
Excellent. He is a pressing machine as well. I have seen him press a 360-pound log and just about press a 400-pound log with ease.
Here we go, Joe Stella. Oh, and a narrow miss on that dumbbell. I think he's got it. I think there's a little off center line, maybe a little more leg drive.
I completely agree. I know that he is capable of this weight. The question is he capable of this weight after pulling a truck and basically pulling that truck is going to be draining on the legs. You can see that he does utilize a fair amount of drive. Watch him dip and then drive, and he's still getting it to lockout.
It looks like he's getting to lockout, just narrowly missing. He's rushing right into the 100-kilo dumbbell, trying to get some points on the board. Let's go, Joe Stella. Let's see if he gets it. Oh, unfortunately, I don't believe he was given a down call, so I think a 0 for Joe Stella. A very heroic attempt there.
That is a very difficult one, but an excellent effort by Joe Stella.
And that really comes back to the strategy that you talked about earlier today, in that, listen, sometimes it is better just to go for the lighter one. Even if you've hit the heavier dumbbell in training, you've hit it in the gym easier, I should say, or easily. It's not the day. It's not outside, and it's not after a dang truck pull. So
no, you have to be aware of those factors, and it does seem that that conditioning comes into play more with the heavier athletes that are handling the heavier weights.
And here we go with Tim Buck going for the heavier dumbbell. Brave man. Let's see what he's got. Looks like a good clean. Come on, Tim.
Very strong shoulder position.
Oh, that looked like child's play.
Wow.
Tim Buck,
he just controlled it straight back down to the shoulder.
My man's, he's not even competing. He's exercising. He brought that back down. That's incredible, Tim Buck.
I do have to say that typically when people press a dumbbell, they just drop it in front. He's bringing it back down under control. This is rather impressive.
This is incredible. Again, I know this is a regional show. I know this is at a program. I don't think people quite realize this is world caliber. There are men at World's Strongest Man this year that cannot do what Tim Buck is doing right now. This is incredible.
I like how he took a second between repetitions 2 and 3 to really gather himself.
Reps. Tim Buck, let's go. With a walk-off.
3 and a walk-off.
That was unbelievable.
I fully believe he is capable of more repetitions than that, but he is elected
That was
to
bananas.
stop lifting it.
I again, that is a world caliber performance out of Tim Buck. You know, really fantastic performance of really not even just good technique, but really just composure. Like you said, he didn't rush into that last rep there. He took a second. It didn't matter that he only had 8-ish seconds left. He knew that's a well-practiced athlete. That's a well-practiced athlete.
Could not agree more with you.
We have Caleb Perkins coming up next. Mr. Perkins out of Kentucky. Let's see what this gentleman could do here, opting for the lighter dumbbell.
We got some really strong athletes right now from that area of the United States.
That Midwest, almost southernish region. It produces some incredible athletes. Caleb being one of them here. Let's see
Let's see the big drive. All right, that's okay.
I know Caleb just competed at a show a couple of weeks ago.
Oh,
so he might be a little fatigued from that. That show did not have dumbbells, so I don't think he had a lot of practice going into this show.
So this may be, you'd say that this may be a challenging event for him because he hasn't necessarily had the time to focus on developing this movement recently.
Absolutely. This is not a strength lift for those watching. This is a technique lift. It's really a parlor trick at the end of the day. Just having to have good tempo and timing. You know, ideally speaking, you want a minimum of 6 weeks to prepare for something like this in the minimum. And I think Caleb here only had about 2 or 3. So awesome attempt by Caleb. He probably knew going into this, he wasn't the best shot of maybe the upper end of the pack, but he gave it an honest shot.
Yeah, and it is challenging as an athlete on the pro side of the strongman circuit. You do not have the same availability of contests that an amateur has. There's actually more amateur contests than there are pro contests.
So if you have the opportunity, you kind of have to jump on it regardless of
you absolutely have to. And that may have been one of the factors influencing his decision.
We have Jasper up next. Again, guys, this gentleman has a actively torn hamstring right now. He did fantastic on the truck wall. Here he is manhandling that lighter dumbbell.
Fantastic clean. Looked very light for him. And this is, Jasper is such a strong athlete. Looks like stabilizing overhead was the challenge. Was a little off center.
It was just off center. I really do think Jasper could do this. He just has to send it right over the midline or center mass of the body. That was just off to the side, away from his ear. Generally speaking, if you can get the dumbbell in line with your ear from the same side of the pressing, that usually keeps it in line.
Absolutely. And I do wonder if the hamstring is hindering him much in this movement, specifically the stabilizing the weight overhead.
How could it not? I mean, I'd imagine even getting it to the shoulder and the clean, essentially that is a heavy kettlebell swing, and that's just all hips and hamstrings. So even that can't be comfortable.
But Jasper with the classic smile. Did you see him put the weight back? He put it back in place. He smiled. He said thank you to his judges. And he's walking off, getting prepared for the very last event, I'm sure.
Jasper's a real professional, real gentleman. Unfortunately, on the day, he couldn't get it. Not to make his injury an excuse, but it is something to keep in mind. He had one very close attempt there in that first one, just off center line, as we already mentioned. So that being said, I'm sure Jasper's going to come back and crush this medley. He's a brute of a man. So it's going to be fun to see him.
No, I completely agree. And so who do we have up next?
I believe we have Charles Easton coming up next.
Excellent.
Although, actually, pardon me, I think I'm incorrect. I did not hear Charles be announced. I heard Brett Thompson. So maybe it's possible that Charles might have pulled out.
Well, we will see who shows up.
I believe I heard Higa announce Brett Thompson. That's Grant Higa, for those curious.
Grant Higa, the OG of the Northwest. He's, I can't say it enough. He has been a cornerstone in the entire strength scene of the Pacific Northwest.
Strength sports, period. That man is a cornerstone of the Pacific Northwest. I wholeheartedly agree. Between his performances in the sport of strongman, his performances in genuine high-level powerlifting, and media itself being one of the first animal pack athletes, getting quite popular and famous within the online, on YouTube specifically, with his crazy squats and deadlifts in the animal cage at the Arnold Expo.
Some incredible
Honestly, without Higa, we wouldn't have such a cemented and powerful strongman and powerlifting scene in the Pacific Northwest.
No question. Yeah, absolutely no question.
I mean, if the man had shoulder mobility, I bet it would be the weightlifting scene too. So, Higa is a strength athlete of all types.
It's very true. It's very true.
So I believe this is Brett Thompson.
I happen to know that this is Charles Easton.
This is Charles Easton.
Yes.
Pardon me. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Charles Easton, go for the heavier dumbbell.
All right, strong, clean. Looks stable overhead.
Oh, and he gets the down command. Well
Excellent.
done, Charles Easton.
There's one repetition down. Let's see how many he can muster. That's a nice clean that he had on the first one. Second one looked like it gave him a little bit of trouble. Let's see if he can stabilize it.
See this press here, Charles. Come on, bud. A bit of an elbow dip there at the bottom of his dip and drive.
Absolutely. Yeah, going to change that. As you said in the first broadcast this morning, a force vector, which I like that you use that term, a little physics in there.
Some dork work here.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, that was a great clean. Yeah, to mention to his clean, he rolls it up his body. I really like that.
Yep. He's able to lever it.
Close,
Very, very close.
I mean, I tell you what, though, even with just that one repetition made, Charles really set himself up with some massive points because, again, not many individuals have gotten any reps.
Absolutely, yeah. So he's looking at we're only looking at 2 more athletes in the heavyweight division, and that is the open men division.
Yep.
And looks like they're readjusting just a little bit, stabilizing the dumbbell. One of the issues with it looks like that they're having the issue of perhaps a plate shifting around a little bit in there.
Yeah, it looks like they're having to retighten the plates using that Olympic collar that you mentioned earlier. Aleco, no big deal. Aleco, please sponsor the show. Please sponsor the show, Aleco.
Hey, what's up?
That Aleco collar. And then from there, it seems as though they're taping it even more to make things secure. And it lasted quite a while that first time. So I imagine we'll be able to finish the show as soon as they're done with this tape job here.
All right. And it looks like we're going to be segueing rather swiftly from this event to the next event, which is that Yoke Farmers Medley, the gruesome Yoke Farmers Medley that's going to be a 90-second time domain. I can't tell you how excited I am for that because that's probably my favorite event of this entire contest.
It's because it's just so rude. I keep on using that term today.
Yes.
It's so brutal. And I'm going to call it the Rainier Death Medley because I can't really think of a better name for it.
I can get with that. I really like the term rude.
Yeah.
It is very appropriate. It is rude.
Yeah,
and I love it.
It's going to be fun. It looks like it's getting a little windy right now. Hopefully, the weather gods will be kind to us and let us finish off with this event without any rain. Let's hope here for the best, knock on wood. Yes. That being said, the next individual after they finish up fastening this dumbbell, I believe, will be Brett Thompson, followed by Bronson. Oh boy, I'm not even pretend. Taiwanaka or Bronson. Your first name is good enough. We know how to identify.
So we do have some rain out on the field right now.
Starting. Yep.
And this is going to be a factor. Unfortunately, this will be a factor if it continues much longer at all. It's going to dramatically, it's going to impact the event at hand, but it's also going to rather dramatically affect the grip of the farmers in the next event.
Yeah, I'd imagine soon enough they'll probably put some towels over those handles if not at any second now.
Yep.
And if it does continue to rain, it's already been mentioned to the athletes that they will reduce the weight of the farmers by 50 pounds per class to allow the grip to kind of hang on. That being said, right now, if this is the type of weather that stays consistent, I doubt they'll have to do that.
Yeah, and so that's funny that you mentioned that because only in strongman can you reduce the weight by just 50 pounds. Just 50. 50.
No big deal.
Just 50 pounds.
Yeah, it's brutal, especially in a PROAM game, and these weights are legit. Like I mentioned before, this isn't exactly light weights for this event. Again, it is an event that normally is only run down and back or down. It's not 90 seconds of continuous work, and it's certainly not 2 different moving events that can really kind of elicit 2 totally different training modalities.
Absolutely.
You can't exactly train farmers and yoke the exact same way. They have such different energy demands, whether it be in the form of your CNS fatigue on the yoke, or whether it be your grip fatigue, which in a way is also CNS fatigue on the farmer. So you can't even train these things the same way.
Yeah, they're definitely different disciplines.
Here we go with Brett Thompson going for the heavier dumbbell. Let's see what he's got. Great clean.
Strong position.
Oh, let's go. I would say easy press.
Extremely under control.
Let's go, Brett Thompson. 1 good rep on the board.
Nice and gathered, nice and collected.
He's not rushing.
Taking his time. Excellent clean. Not a lot of time under tension. Straight up, wait for the down, straight down.
What I love the most about Brett's clean and press here is that Once he's in that front rack position with the dumbbell on the shoulder, he is locking in that elbow by engaging his lats, and there is no movement in his elbow at all when he's driving down and upwards. It is perfectly still, and that is frankly what you need for a perfect dip and drive on the dumbbell specifically.
Yeah, 3 very decisive repetitions. I don't think that there's a time split on this. Could you confirm that?
It has not been. I don't think we're doing time splits today. So he'll be tied for first as of right now.
So it will be a tie.
It will be a tie. So he will share those points.
Yeah, and so we do have 1 athlete left. We have 2 athletes tied for first place with 3 repetitions at that 240-pound dumbbell.
Which honestly, I don't know if anyone assumed would happen, considering just how heavy that is.
It's true. There's a reason for there being 2 dumbbells out there.
Absolutely, this is unbelievable. I can't believe. Seriously, 3 repetitions at the highest level, whether it be a Giants Live, a World's Strongest Man, a Short Classic at Arnold, that would be a great performance. And we're getting it here at this regional show. All right, our last athlete, Bronson, going for the heavier one. This is big points, so Bronson needs this.
Looks a little unstable on the shoulder. We'll see how this goes.
Oh, wow. With a good rep.
Was it a good repetition?
Ooh,
it was very close. Hard to say. It was hard fought.
I'm not sure if that was a good rep. We will have to wait.
Very hard fought. This looks like a slightly better position for him. Oh, so close.
Leg drive.
It's quite close. I think he would be wise to take a small. There we go.
He's going right to the lighter dumbbell.
Yep. I was thinking if he was going to take another swing at that red dumbbell, I would give it another 10 or 15 seconds. He definitely, he's relying on his shoulders quite a bit for this movement.
It's unfortunate that he clearly did not get that first repetition. Had he gotten it, I doubt he would have been on the lighter dumbbell. So it's unfortunate. It was it's honestly about as narrow as a miss it possibly could be. So
absolutely, that's
good
very
job.
Close.
But again, Bronson is really intelligent in that he saw it wasn't happening. There are so many zeros on the light dumbbell.
Yep.
So he went and got some great points, getting 2 or 3 reps there on the lighter dumbbell.
Still places him in a fantastic position, ahead of at least 5 other people.
Okay, so it seems as though Bob Myers is going to get another attempt at the dumbbell. If I had to guess, during his run, the weights must have shifted and fallen out completely. They must have given him another. That's my guess here. Otherwise, it didn't make much sense to give him another run. So more than likely what's happening, Bob Myers, Moyers, pardon me.
No worries.
Coming on out again.
All right.
Bob, then Taylor. So actually, we're getting 2 more athletes.
Excellent.
Maybe the same, although Taylor's accredited with 2 repetitions on the heavier dumbbell. We'll figure this out later.
Oh, no. So okay. I do remember Taylor lifting, and then he dropped the second repetition and the plates came out.
I see. Okay.
So it looks like if there has been an equipment failure, they will be granted another attempt.
All right. Let's see how Bob Moyer does.
Which is kind of tricky. I mean, if you already have 2 repetitions, do you really want to come back for more?
He's gambling right now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Moyer not getting that first rep. Come on, Bob. You can do this, bud.
So Bob Moyer is another athlete that has been on the scene for many years at this point, just slowly building, slowly developing. And he's gotten better and better with the years. But if I'm not mistaken, he is out of the Vancouver, Washington area, which is by Portland, Oregon. Rocking the Rainier hat, right on.
It looks like Mr. Moyer might call it there. Really good attempt by him on that lighter dumbbell, just maybe not on the day.
Yep, fantastic effort.
And if we are, in fact, going to get Taylor, who's completed 2 reps on the heavier dumbbell, I'd imagine that man has a lot of confidence then in his dumbbell ability, because 2 repetitions, as of right now, puts him in a shared second place. So it's not like he's losing a lot of points here. So he wants potentially first or outright or tied first.
It's definitely an interesting position he finds himself in as well, because we can see that he is in a 3-way tie with 2 repetitions, but there is also a 2-way tie above him.
Right.
For 3 repetitions. So I am very curious to see how this goes for Taylor if he is making another attempt. And it kind of looks like they're starting to tear stuff down.
No, they're packing it up. I think that is it. So one more time, guys, before we close out on this event, I just wanted to thank the U.S. Army specifically for sponsoring this event. Thank you so much for making the Trump dumbbell event possible. Thank you, U.S. Army, for sponsoring this event. That being said, I'm Alec Jose. This is Zach McCarley. Thank you for watching. We'll have a short break and we'll be back in just a bit.
Awesome. We'll see you guys soon.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, me and my partner, crime Zach McCarley, are back to introduce what I would say is a Rainier Classic Death Medley. Zach, if you had to describe this medley, this event, in a few brief words, what would you say about this?
Pain. Pacing.
Oh, yeah.
And rain.
I love that. Pain, racing, rain. I love that. Well done. Unfortunately, our athletes are going to have to do this event in the rain. That being said, there's going to be a lot more factors to consider when doing this event now. Things that are already on a very complicated event. One thing specifically is I think a lot of athletes are going to make the mistake of using too much chalk. I think actually using so much chalk in the rain is actually going to make your grip slip way more. You can't use your normal amount of chalk in the farmer's handles as you typically would. I think a lot of people are going to make that mistake.
Yeah, so this is definitely it's going to be an interesting one. I'm excited to see what occurs. I think that, I hope that all of the athletes in the field are wise enough and experienced enough to know that if you are doing farmers or yoke in the rain, it changes your pacing and it changes your cadence. And I don't think that we're going to see as many athletes blowing up early. Honestly, I was kind of looking forward to seeing some athletes overclock it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
to
really
watch, to watch that sudden pain realization.
Yeah, around 30 or 50 seconds, but I don't think we're going to see as many of those. I do think that we might see some grip issues, but we will see. There has been a weight adjustment to this, and I guess we have our first heat right here, so let's check it out.
All right, Rachel Bennett in lane 1. In lane 3, we have John Parker. Rachel Bennett being in the 82 kilo Pro-Am class. John Parker in the 105 kilo Pro-Am class. Rachel Bennett with a smooth jog back.
Yeah, very responsible pace. That looks like she's going to be working the entire time. Yeah, so Rachel Bennett. All right, so these two are about tied, even though they're not competing necessarily directly against each other in the point standing. They're selecting a similar pace, and it seems like Rachel has elected to go a little quicker on the yoke and a little slower on the farmers, also a little slower on the way back.
Fantastic. Right now, this is a pro pace that we know. Before, early in the day, we had athletes going a little too fast, like you mentioned, but here we have athletes really pacing well.
Yeah, and so I am excited to see how far some of these athletes go. I don't think that we will see as many athletes really blowing up as we did this morning. And what I mean by blowing up is some athletes see this and they say 90 seconds, I got to go as fast as I can for as long as I can. Well, if you do that, you're only going to be able to work for about 30 to 50 seconds, and you actually won't get as far as someone who takes a responsible pace from the start to the finish.
And every feet, every inch, every centimeter counts on this because we are counting distance as well, not just completion. So if you even have 3 seconds left, it behooves you to pick that thing up and move any distance you can.
Absolutely. So those two athletes were able to work the entire duration. That is a long time to be under load.
It's honestly ridiculous. Like, yeah. I really anticipated, especially the athletes from the beginning of the roster, to just not do as well on this event. And Rachel and John did not stop that entire time.
Both of them were extremely steady, just working hard the entire time.
Outstanding performance from Rachel. That was incredible.
That was excellent work.
Rachel, if you had to tell us what that feels, it sucks. It sucks. That's what it felt like.
Yeah. Now, so that is a long time to be under load.
I honestly really feel like what we just watched out of Rachel is going to be a top 3 placing because
that was really good.
She did not stop. She's strong enough to have the strength to keep going in terms of physical capabilities. And on top of it, Rachel, I know for a fact here, has the strongest hands in the 82 kilo class. So her grip wasn't fatigued, as I'm sure a lot of her counterparts are going to be.
Absolutely. And we'll definitely see how it stacks up. I think that she took an incredibly responsible pace. I do think if any of the athletes in the field have, I think that it could be held at a slightly faster pace while under load.
Right. So you're saying during the actual running of the implement, be a little quicker.
Yeah. But that is only to say, I think that the way that she went back to each implement was perfect. I think her transitions were very clean. She didn't dilly-dally. It was very to the point. And it was very responsible, as seen by the fact that she could keep working the entire duration of the 90-second time window.
Absolutely. And I believe here we're actually going to utilize lanes that we just did in the previous heat. So I believe what we're going to have is Daphne Zhang in lane 1. In lane 2, I believe we're going to have Samantha Ridge. In lane 3, we should have Andrew Babak. And I believe that's it. I don't think we're utilizing a lane 4. Can you take it? Do you see that?
I cannot see over there, but
I know we are. We are utilizing a lane 4 based on the size of that gentleman. It looks like we're gonna have an open class man. It looks like it'll be Tyler Davis.
Excellent.
I could be wrong. Forgive me if it's another 105, but he's a large man. All right, here we go. Start of the next round.
About to begin. Oh, judge called a pause on lane 1.
Looks like there might be an issue in the height of the yoke for the athlete in lane 1. That'll be a quick fix, no big deal.
It does look like that yoke is a little low, but again, this might be an easy weight for that athlete in lane 1. She's going to be banking on moving incredibly swiftly, is my bet.
Yeah, Daphne Zhang, for those who haven't had the luxury of watching her compete, she is genuinely one of the absolute best yoke runners in the lightweight class at one point in her career. Now she's in a different weight class, and you can see that she still has incredible strength. So here we go. Samantha Ridge, though, killing it in lane 2. Fantastic performance, already finishing the farmers here. Daphne Zhang also finishing.
All right, so we see A couple athletes coming out pretty hot. Is that in lane 2 we have Samantha?
Samantha Ridge in lane 2.
All right. I like her pace between events. We'll see if she can hold that kind of pace under load.
I know her jog back looked a little fatigued to that implement. Let's see how her hands hold now. I'm interested to see if she can hold this implement. We're seeing a lot of people drop now. I think we're just privy to an incredible Heat 1, because in Heat 2, we're starting to see the fatigue that you and I predicted that would happen.
Absolutely. And that, that may take place. Yeah, we see a little bit of a side-to-side action in lane 1.
Samantha Ridge with her first drop on an implement. This is truly brutal. Daphne Zhang going to finish her last portion of the run there, the Farmers. Mr. Davis going everything he's got there in the furthest lane.
So it does look like there's a little bit of a conditioning fatigue occurring to Samantha right now.
And again, this is what we expected. This is a type of event that is painful.
Yeah, and this, again, 90 seconds is an eternity to be doing this kind of lifting.
Absolutely.
If you do not pace it correctly, maybe I undersold that first heat.
I honestly,
maybe I did.
I really believe that what we saw in that first heat might have been top 3 placings. That was unbelievable.
That was pretty incredible, and that was largely due to the pacing of both of those athletes.
They just didn't stop, but they also weren't slow. It was really proficient. And this heat is really what we kind of expected to see in terms of fatigue, because at the end there, everyone was just dropping left, right, and center.
Absolutely. Literally, some of the athletes were dropping to their hands and knees with it, just could not move.
Here we go in this heat. In lane number 1, we should have a Jessica Mitchell. In lane number 2, Erin Murray, who's currently in first place, the 73-kilo world champion. In lane number 3, we have a Ryan Fell, who I believe is sitting in second place in the PROAM for 105 men. And in lane 4, we should have the gentleman Andrew Letty taking that 4th lane. I believe it's Andrew Letty. Or is that a 105? What do you think, Zach?
That does not. It's definitely not Andrew.
That actually
Letty.
Might be Jack Turner, the 105 for a PROAM individual. That might be Jack Turner. So it looks like this is our last bit of 105 gentlemen, and we're going to have our last 2 82-kilo women as well. So this is our final heats for the middleweight divisions of the PROAM section of this competition. This is in theory, due to points, should be the best heat. So we'll see.
Excellent. And so so who's in lane 3? Sorry,
lane 3 is Ryan Fell, another one of my athletes, actually. Excellent. And in lane 4 should be the gentleman Jack Turner. Lane 2 should be Erin Murray. And then in lane 1, we have Jessica Mitchell. Now, what's interesting about Jessica Mitchell and Erin Murray, they're both moving event specialists. That being said, the Achilles heel of Erin Murray, if there ever is one, is her grip. So we will see how it holds up.
We will see how it goes. I don't think I think that she's been performing very strong on the day. She's typically an incredibly consistent competitor. I don't think that she's going to have much of an issue. Although we seem to see that's a very fast pace for everyone to be taking.
I really hope these athletes have cardio because they're going quick.
Yeah, that is an aggressive pick.
Oh boy!
So I would definitely, if I were, I don't know. I feel that is an aggressive pace. I feel that we're going to see some issues around 50 seconds.
I agree. It looks like Jessica Mitchell potentially is already a little under that yoke. We have Ryan Fell just finishing in lane 3. Erin Murray running back to the Farmers, her least favorite event. We'll see what is going on here.
It largely, it's about knowing yourself as well.
It really
Perhaps
is.
some of these athletes only have a certain time window to work within. It doesn't matter if they're going hard. It doesn't matter if they're going slow.
They just kind of know where they're at. They know their abilities. Erin Murray finishing that, already going back to the Farmers. Ryan Fell just dropping before the line. He needs to get back underneath that yoke and finish.
So we just hit the 50-second mark of this event. There's approximately 35 seconds left now. And Erin is still going strong.
Is still going.
Impressive.
This is unbelievable. Ryan Fell going back with the Farmers. We have John Parker. Oh, he's walking now. He seems a little fatigued. Erin back under the yoke. This is another incredible heat. Jessica Mitchell getting it up herself. Ryan Fell moving it with every bit that he can in lane 3. Looks like Ryan is opting to stop. He looks tired. And what a finish out of these ladies. Oh my goodness. Erin Murray getting it just a few inches as well in the last remaining seconds. That is a competitor.
That's quite impressive.
Oh my goodness, that lane 1 and 2, Jessica Mitchell, Erin Murray, absolutely going to the limit. Both of them on the ground right now.
So I would say
incredible performance. Ryan Fell is also laying down on the ground against the truck in the back. This that's what we thought was going to happen. But I still think that lane. I would say heat 1 and this last heat were the most impressive in my opinion in terms of just not stopping for the most part.
Yeah, I certainly agree. I thought they came out a little hot. I think that
They did. They
adjusted
definitely
on the
did.
fly.
I think so too.
And they adjusted perfectly. And that's perfectly fine. You know, feeling it in the middle of the event, so long as you can just keep moving during an event of such a long duration, you're going to be okay.
I mean, I can't wait to see the scorings for these last 4 individuals because that was so impressive. They really put it in. I still think Rachel Bennett might be somewhere in the top 1 or 2, maybe 3 with her. Look at this performance. Her total distance being 243 feet between the 2 implements.
I think, I think Aaron may have passed that. That was a pretty impressive.
I couldn't believe that was unbelievable. That was amazing. This whole heat, and the same thing with Jessica Mitchell. She really pushed herself quite literally to the limit there.
Absolutely,
that was awesome. I love that heat. That was rad.
They went hard. They went hard.
Now, for you, do you think you'd be one of those athletes that would have to really go all out to start because you necessarily don't have that tank to last, or can you game this event?
No, I would definitely be an athlete that would take more of an approach like Rachel's.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I might be a little more aggressive off the line.
Okay.
But that would be in speed. It wouldn't necessarily be in pick.
Right. So smooth pick, let the speed build essentially. Okay.
Yeah. Because you could see some of the athletes. One of my concerns when I was seeing Aaron's run was the way she picked up the farmers was extremely aggressive.
I agree.
And it wasn't just aggressive forward, it was aggressive upward.
This is interesting. They're saying that we have a tie for Erin Murray and Jessica Mitchell. That seems odd on a distance event. We're going to have to get some confirmation on that.
That could. So I didn't have my eyes on Jessica, unfortunately. I was watching Erin, hoping that she would get back to those farmers and be able to get them out of the back.
Well, she moved the farmers a couple of inches, so...
Well, she was unable to pick them up.
She didn't pick it. Oh, she didn't get it off the
ground. Yeah, she did not get it off the ground. Yep. And so I think that what happened was we saw the yoke finish just in time, and Erin was a full length ahead, but not under load.
Well, then there you go. Then we have an incredible tie between Erin Murray and Jessica Mitchell, and Rachel Bennett taking third. Like I really thought that would be a top 3 placing, and it was. That was an incredible performance out of Rachel Bennett. That was, honestly, it was near perfect. Yeah, I think she pushed to her ability. You know what I mean? I don't think she had another gear, but she knew how to game it.
I think she might have, honestly. I think that she may have been able to finish that length. As far as getting to the next implement, I don't know. I would have to watch it again. I did think that her movement under load could have been sped up a little bit, as I mentioned. But I think that both Erin and Jessica's runs were incredibly impressive. They had to utilize running between implements. They would not have gotten that far without
and they
that.
saw what the other was doing. Like they were looking. I saw them looking over at each other.
Yeah,
they knew they had to race.
And here
for the 105 men, we have Jack Turner in that last heat. They're taking, I believe it looks like, Jack, I believe, taking 238 feet. Ryan fell in that last heat, taking 250 feet. And then the winner for the 105 men was Tyler Buxton with 276 feet. Great job, Tyler. Wow. So, again, first place for Tyler, second place for Ryan Fell, and it looks like third place for Jack Turner. Fantastic.
Quite impressive.
Fantastic
Quite impressive.
Work. Now, I do believe what we should be viewing next, we should be having the open categories, both open women and open men coming off next.
All right, so we got the big boys and the big girls coming out to play with the big weights, bigger weights, I should say, because the weights to begin with were big, okay? But now they're going to slap on a couple extra plates. It's going to be interesting.
If I heard Grant Higa correctly, we're going to have one athlete go by himself, Tyler Davis, in the open category. That's more than likely to make sure that things are nice and even in terms of like having head-to-heads. Unfortunately, Tyler has to go by himself due to the fact that he, at least as of now, is in last place, so it's more than likely why he has to go by himself.
Ooh, so in this, typically in a strongman contest, you would see that, but to my knowledge, in this contest, it is actually reverse order of sign up for now, and then there will be a reshuffling.
No, that's
only
for the amateurs. Only for the
amateurs.
Yeah.
Okay, they are reshuffling.
For the PROAM divisions, we're getting a constant reshuffle.
I stand corrected.
Yeah. But you were correct. The amateurs, like we watched this morning, for those that watch tomorrow morning, there will be a constant placement of in relation to sign up and where they go and compete. On the last event for the amateurs, they will reshuffle from the last event.
I'm glad that we got that clarified, because I have noticed some of these shifting and I've been like, it's a little weird.
Yeah.
What's happening here?
So we are getting live scoring for these ladies right now, and we're also getting it for everyone, ladies and men. So this is really interesting.
Excellent. Yeah. So I wish we had a little. I wish we had control over the camera, because there is. We have our first athlete out on the field, and he is rocking a cutoff grip shirt.
He's cutting a
custom.
Good for that man. That's amazing.
Love it.
All right, Tyler Davies up here at lane number 4. Let's all wish the best for Tyler Davies, going out here by himself, but let's get a great performance out of him.
So that is a nice heavy yoke that he's working with.
Good jog back, getting that breath.
Yep. I think that might be slightly aggressive for these weights to run back like that.
I was going to say, especially as a larger man, the cardio demands are going to be a little bit more extreme than a lightweight athlete.
Yep. We will see, though. We're going to see.
I would even say, for those that are getting a little more specific in terms of like the nuances of the event, Tyler, for example, is going pretty decently far past the line that he has to hit to finish. He could just get it right on top of it. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to get those. And I know it sounds silly, but those extra few inches or feet do add up. It does add up.
Absolutely. I mean, we're looking at athletes getting, we'll say 5 runs back and forth.
Sure. 5 full completions.
Yeah. And if you're going over by 5 feet on each of those runs, that's 25 feet under load.
That you did not need to do.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
That wasn't counted. That doesn't add to your score.
Exactly.
And 25 feet in this scoring system, is the difference between 1, sometimes 2 or 3 placings in a class.
Huge points.
Yeah.
Especially when we have so many talented athletes like we do here in this PROAM. This open division for the men, as well as all the other classes, is stacked. Like, these gentlemen are really high quality. Tyler Davis really
gutted out. I hope he
really
makes this.
killing it.
Very nice.
That was awesome. Great job, Tyler Davis. Honestly, I think that's going to be a very good performance out of him. I honestly think that was fantastic. I do want to correct myself in the 105 division. I was incorrect. It seems as though Ryan Fell actually won. Oh, no, pardon me. Different event. He won the truck pull. But yeah, so we had it right before. As of right now, really great performance out of Tyler Davis. Really crushing that.
Excellent.
I do believe now we're going to utilize all 4 lanes. I believe that's going to happen now. So we should, in theory, have 2 open class women going and then 2 open class men going in the Pro-Am divisions.
Yeah, so this should be pretty exciting. Watching these athletes go head to head, there is that competitive component, as we saw with Aaron and Jessica.
Both looking over at each other at a certain point, like,
breathing down
we're in the
each
same
other's
spot.
necks.
It's time to kick it up. That was really cool to see.
And that was,
and they
incredible.
Tied. They tied as of now. It is listed as a tie.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up. Was as impressive as Aaron's performance was, and I do think it is the most impressive from an output standpoint in this event so far. Jessica came in clutch. That was a super clutch
she
move,
came in
having
equal.
the awareness
Right.
to have to get over the line to even have a chance of tying, and it just so happened that the time came out to perfectly keep you into that tie.
She came in equal as far as I'm concerned, right? As far as the score is concerned.
As far as the score is concerned.
Because it's interesting, right? Because you said Aaron had a better output and ability, which I agree. But I would say Jessica had a smarter mindset, a more tactful mindset in that moment to then equal an opponent who might be actually stronger than her. You know what I mean? So it didn't really matter at the end of the day who had better strength or output. She was smart enough to get that spot, and that's really cool.
And that's a huge part of strongman in general.
It really is. And right now we have Pauline DePinto in lane 1. In lane 2, we have Britta Maggard. In lane 3, we should have the gentleman Andrew Letty, and in lane 4, Joe Stella. So this is an interesting heat, because right now Britta Maggard, for those of you watching, had an outstanding performance at World's Strongest Woman 2021 on the yoke event. So she is a great mover. So watching Britta I think, is going to be she will be the standard of this event. I think Britta's going to really crush.
Excellent. I'm excited to see this. So that's a rather long transition period, truthfully.
Yeah, you're right.
A lot of time waiting to set up correctly, but perhaps calculated. We'll see.
Maybe we're not quite sure. Maybe she could be. At the end of the day, it's a long day today. Maybe she feels a little something going on in her back or something along those lines. But as of right now, she's killing these farmers. Great pace. Joe Stella also in the furthest lane, also doing fantastic.
Yeah, and so what's interesting about the heavyweights is that they're having to move heavier weights, but also heavier bodies, and that is extremely draining.
It has its own demands.
Yeah, and something that we noted this morning, because the implements were the same, is the middleweights and the heavyweight, middleweight men and heavyweight men are having to do farmers with a cylinder style farmers implement that's dragging on the thigh.
Yes, the torpedo farmers.
Yes, yeah. So that's going to be, it's incredibly draining, not just on the grip, but on the core. Absolutely. And you're not able to rest the plates on each other. So it creates more of a independent motion effect.
Absolutely. When you're using something like a torpedo style dumbbell, like you mentioned earlier today, it's going to continually and perpetually bounce off of your legs as you're running, especially for an individual with larger quads, for example. And that shakes up your hands literally to the point where you're more than likely going to drop the implement. Yep. It's a real challenge.
Yeah, and that has to be trained for. You have to be prepared for that.
Yeah. Whether it's you intentionally utilizing much wider farmers or young fat grip farmers, really anything that kind of make sure that your hand stability and conditioning is there on the day.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of people view grip strength as purely just a squeezing strength or a crushing strength that some people define it as. But at the end of the day, it's also there's pinching strength. There's strength endurance in relation to the forearms and hands. There's a lot of facets to grip training besides just squeezing something hard. And a lot of these athletes will train that for something like the tubular farmers or the torpedo farmers.
Yeah, so a lot of people will say that there are 3 primary forms of grip strength.
Okay.
Let's nerd out a little bit here. Here we go. So there's crushing grip strength, which is really more like the Captains of Crush style, or grippers, or crushing apples, or crushing potatoes strength feats. There's also isometric grip strength, which is what we see being worked right here, which is holding on to something and not allowing your hand to open. And then the third form of grip strength that's commonly, recognized is pinch grip, which is really thumb grip. It's actually being able to apply a lot of force, and it's a style of isometric. But those are the 3 primary forms that are recognized, and I kind of wish we had a grip specialist around here, because they could probably school me quite a bit.
It really is its own training modality and school of thought. But that being said, we have our next heat coming on up. I'll introduce them really quick before we continue our nerd session. In lane 1, we have Cassandra. In lane 2, we have Monica Johnson. In lane 3, we have the gentleman who I believe is named is Caleb Perkins. In lane 4, Jasper should be in lane 4. So let's see what happens with this. Monica Johnson, by the way, is one of the best yoke runners in North America. So let's see what she does in this event today.
We have a strong start from Jasper and
Monica, really crushing. Let's see if they. However, this pace seems dangerous to me.
I completely agree. I think that this is a rather aggressive pace. Let's see how long they can hold it. That's the question. If they can hold it the entire time, then fantastic.
It's a gamble, but at the end of the day, these athletes might know something about themselves in relation to their ability to keep working that it might benefit them.
Absolutely.
One thing to keep in mind as well, if you're a viewer at home that's an athlete or someone vaguely familiar with the sport, they are eliciting slide penalties today. You cannot slide across the line on yoke or farmer to finish your set. If you do, you will be penalized.
All right.
Here we go. Monica Johnson is putting on a clinic right now. This is unbelievable.
I'm really impressed by Jasper, honestly. Jasper is in the lead of this entire heat, if I'm not mistaken.
He is with Monica just behind him.
With the heavyweight weights.
Again, and a torn hamstring, dude.
And a torn hamstring.
This is awesome. Jasper is showing up today.
That is rather incredible. You can see his judge getting hyped up.
Yeah,
his judge is excited. His judge is also
one of his best training partners in Lucas Hatton.
Fantastic.
Here we go.
We want to see Jasper keep going.
Wow.
Fantastic. There was only a small stumble right there at the end by Jasper in lane 4.
Again, guys,
not to take anything away from anyone else.
No, but it was absolutely incredible. Everyone out in this heat did fantastic. But on top of it, like when you're a human of the size that these people are, and you have an output like that, it really speaks volumes of your ability to have who have trained your endurance. Like it's incredible. Like incredible. They just outdistanced some of the middleweight athletes. I tipped. Oh, wow, that was impressive. That was very impressive.
again, it's one of those performances of the day, at least so far, where I'm a little bit speechless.
That
Not,
was wild.
not just at his ability to output, but the fact that, he tore his hamstring
last week, I think.
Yeah.
I think last week.
Not too long ago.
Yeah. Jasper is really impressing me today.
Extremely
impressive.
Again,
let's keep in mind, guys, this is after a truck pull, and this is also after a circus dumbbell for essentially max. I mean, it's basically max weight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like that. It's something for reps. I know we're calling it a rep event. It's basically max for everybody.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
So right up next in this next heat, we should have in lane 1, Poa, the Hawaiian strength queen, I'll call her, with an amazing powerlifting pedigree. And then in lane 2, we should have Gabby Dixon, who as of right now has the world record yoke for the open class women, at least the car yoke. She has the fastest car yoke in the world. I believe she ran a 700-pound yoke in sub 11 seconds or sub 10 seconds.
For what distance?
50 feet. I think she ran in 10 seconds or less, something along those lines. And then we have in lane number 3, we should have the gentleman Bob Moyer, and in lane 4, a Bronson, who I'm not a great attempt to pronounce your last name, buddy.
I'm gonna try
Tiwanak. Bronson, you got a sick first name and last name.
This is super awesome first and last.
It's rad. So right now
I still think you got to be strong if your name is Bronson. I mean, come on.
He didn't have a choice.
He didn't have a choice.
His parents looked at him.
You will be strong.
He was like, you didn't have a choice, buddy. Bronson. But a name like that, you're like. All right. So again, lane 1, Poa. We have Poa Henson, Gabby Dixon in lane 2. Lane 3, we have the gentleman Bob Moyer, then Bronson in lane 4. Let's go. 90 seconds of chaos. Let's see how it goes, guys. Now, I'm predicting another top 3 performance out of Gabby Dixon in this event.
I think that she has it in her. It's
going to come down to her cardio.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. It's going to come down to her conditioning. I think that she's an incredible athlete.
I do coach her. I am biased.
Oh, no, I know. but I'm not.
It's her cardio.
And I agree with you. I'll definitely tell you if I disagree. And I do think that she has the capacity and the ability to keep a fast pace the entire time. And I think that if she keeps this pace the entire time, she will be more than well placed.
I agree. Another athlete.
Fantastic transition.
I mean, she looks strong.
Nice upright position.
Lane 4 is looking fantastic. Bronson is looking strong. Gabby Dixon already on the yoke.
Excellent. So 30 seconds in. We see some athletes starting to fatigue just a little bit, maybe taking some more time.
Miss Dixon looks a little fatigued right now, heading back. We'll see what happens. This is where we find out who trained well, who attacked those energy systems. Miss Dixon returning.
Lightweight. So if I'm not mistaken, Gabby Dixon is in the lead of this heat. So she's the person that has moved the furthest along in this medley.
I agree. But you can see, though, her cardio is starting to suffer. She's starting to get that pain face. She's starting to feel the fatigue of this yoke on her back. I went from feeling like 500 pounds to 700 pounds all of a sudden, I'm sure.
Absolutely, and I don't blame her. That's some hard work they're doing out there.
But she hasn't stopped. She has not stopped.
She's
so far the only athlete not to drop.
Farmers and continuing. Let's see if she can transition.
Let's see.
Looks like she caught her ankle, but she's still persevering. And that's time.
I wonder if they will give Gabby that inch that she moved the yoke.
I do. That one is up for the judges.
It looks like that gentleman's not going to give her that inch she moved it.
I do think that is an interesting circumstance where.
What do you think? And by the way, the judges' rule is always paramount. It's always first. It's what's important. We respect our judges. We care that they're even here in the first place.
Absolutely.
So any sort of questioning or at least curiosity should be done from the perspective and position of respect and genuine interest over conflict. So just gonna put that out there.
Absolutely, yeah. So I do think it is interesting because the implement is measured from the front of the implement, and I do think she definitely picked it up. She definitely moved it a couple inches. I don't know if they would. I imagine that they've already covered this circumstance in the rules.
Yeah.
And I am unsure. I would always
You know, from what
refer to that.
Yeah.
But I would probably say that someone has to get the entire implement across the line and out of the back to start measuring.
I don't actually think, based on the rules, I got to listen on the rules. I actually don't think they need to cross the line at all. It's the front.
I don't think they do either.
But I would say if they don't give her, let's say, those couple of centimeters, inch that she got, I wouldn't be surprised, because ultimately speaking, as she picked it up, it was more of a lean forward and not a pure clear the ground. Like it wasn't distinctly off the ground. So if they decide not to, I wouldn't be surprised.
You could call it not under control.
Not under control, or honestly, if I can't see the light of day perfectly, I might not. A judge might not give it to them, which I would understand.
And again, as you mentioned, that is the judge's call.
Right, it is the judge's call, and we'll see how that goes going forward. As of right now, if I had to guess, I would say that was near. It looks like that was a
very impressive performance.
Very impressive performance.
Actually, and it looks like
she's tied for first.
She's tied for first. Wow,
on that performance. Let's see. Now we have in lane 1, we have Abigail Deal. In lane 2, we have Harrison. And in lane 3, we have Mr. Charles Easton. And in lane 4, we have Tyler Gahn. Fantastic performance here. The athlete slowing down just a little bit, but you see Abby Deal picking up the pace. She is going for it. Again, this is an 82-kilo athlete who transitioned to the open category, and she is very much holding on to her own today.
Good pace.
So well. You know, for those that don't know, Abby Deal is also an All-American athlete within the sport of rowing. I believe she went All-American in rowing.
Okay.
She was a college rower, D1 or D2.
Built well for it.
Oh, I mean, look at her. She's so tall, long legs, powerful lats. You know, it's not surprising that she eventually went up now to this open category, because I really feel like we're going to see the best of her in this category now. No longer having to worry about cutting weight.
Well, that's quite exciting. And for the people that have never seen her compete, I guess you saw her here first.
Yeah, so. If this is your first time, that's awesome. Go ahead and watch OSG. She competed there. She's an amazing athlete. Oh, Sean is stopping there in lane 2. Hopefully Sean's okay. Bit of a grunt on his face. Hopefully they're okay.
That was very impressive.
I hope Sean's
Abigail right here. It looks like she crossed the line with less than 2 seconds.
I mean, Abby went all in on that, and she's near stumbling off the floor here. In perfect display of heart here.
Excellent. Getting some help from a friend.
Quite literally holding her up by her belt.
That's what we like to see. She left it all on the field, and that's what you can keep your head up about at the end of the day. Win, lose, or draw. If you're out there and you set a PR, that's a win.
It looks like
it doesn't. You know, if you can leave it all on the field, then you can walk away with your head held high.
I completely agree. Unfortunately, it looks like we might have an injury in lane 2, and Sean Harrison, pardon me. Sean is looking a little labored right now, still hanging on the yoke. Sean had stopped just prior to the whistle, had a bit of a pain face on, but ideally speaking, Sean's going to be okay. Potentially just a cramp. Right now, fortunately for us, we do have medical staff at the event, just in case scenarios like this where people really, you know, again, at the end of the day, we're running with hundreds of pounds on our back. It does have an inherent risk. Sean is being assisted off the floor. We wish the very best for Sean. Hopefully, Sean will be able to come back and finish out this contest.
Yeah.
That being said, we're getting ready for our next heat here. Our next heat should be Jody Kennedy in lane number 1, Inez Carrasquillo in lane number 2. In lane number 3, we should have Josh Reynolds and then Zachary Price.
Stay focused.
I gotta say, I do not envy these athletes.
This is a brutal event.
It's brutal.
Absolutely brutal.
So as of right now, in the open class division, we have 3 athletes tied for first. In Abby Deal, Gabby Dixon, and Monica. 3 tied for first. That's incredible. All going 240 total feet in distance.
All right, jokes are ready.
So this is an important event for Inez here. We're going to see how she stacks up.
Absolutely, as well as Jody. We will.
Yeah, Jody, again, the weight class athlete killing it in the open.
So let's see how she moves, if she can move steady.
Jody
looks like
looking
Inez a little more swiftly.
Yeah, I mean, she's a larger athlete. She really is an open division athlete. Jody, though, running smooth with big weight here, we already have Mr. I believe his name is Reynolds in lane number 3. I'm sorry, Zachary Price. No, Reynolds in lane 3, really looking strong. Mr. Price in lane 4.
Excellent.
Nez is already moving and grooving. She needs to move now if she wants to keep up. Fantastic work.
Excellent composure by several of these athletes.
Absolutely.
Inez is she's more swift. She seems very controlled. This does not seem that she is getting, it doesn't seem that she's overclocking herself. It seems that she's pacing this correctly.
Well, honestly, I could confidently say that Nez's greatest attribute within the open division is not necessarily her pressing, but it's actually her conditioning. I would say she's arguably one of the most conditioned athletes within that category. That said, she's lacking in experience. So you'll still see some of those technical flaws in events like this.
So how long has she been competing in the sport?
Nez has been competing for a total of 13 months.
That is absurd.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that, please?
13 total months and currently ranked, number 4 in the world.
Wow.
Yeah. Tying for 3rd at Worlds, to be fair. Tying for 3rd.
That is incredible.
Now, that being said, you start to see some of those technical flaws in her right now, for example, in the yoke. Jody Kennedy keeping her own. She's the exact opposite. She's not as strong as Nez, but her technique and experience is so high that she's able to keep going. It's such a fun parallel to watch.
Absolutely. You see these athletes completely exhausted at the end of that 9 seconds. That was an incredible effort.
They really went buck wild on that one. That was really fun to watch. Great performance by Jody Kennedy, Inez Carrasquillo, Josh Reynolds, and Zachary Price. That was a fantastic heat.
If I'm not mistaken, Inez may have eked out the first place in that one.
We'll wait and see. That would be incredible if she did. I mean, going into this show, that's her weakest event, so we'll see. That'd be very interesting if she did do that.
An incredible performance.
Oh, really great work. Really great work. She's honestly everyone though. Jody, Inez, Ryan, everyone's this is such a high level display of moving ability being demonstrated here. We'll have the scores updated in just a moment for us to kind of accurately display and talk about who took what in the open class divisions, because we are done so right now with our open class ladies. We do have we're actually done with all of the open class divisions, so we'll wait for the scores to be announced so we can say the top 3 in each category. Final competitors. Hold on now. Let's see who we got. So I believe our final 2 competitors is Timothy Buck and Brett Thompson.
Excellent.
That being said, here we go, boys.
They're getting under the weight.
Last heat again. Last heat. Timothy Buck in lane number 3 and Brett Thompson in lane number 4. This is going to be a head-to-head between the gentlemen who are 1st and 2nd. They're going to be looking at each other head-to-head. They're in each other's peripheral. They know what the guy's doing. They know they have to beat them. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, so this, it looks like both of these athletes are taking a pretty responsible pace. They're not moving too swiftly, but they are continuing to move, which means they're going to be continuing to get that distance. 90 seconds is a long time to work under these kind of conditions and under load, but especially for these heavyweights.
Yeah, and especially right now between these 2 guys who are in 1st and 2nd, they're going to push each other. They do not want to lose. They see each other in each other's eyes right now. This is fantastic.
There absolutely is that competitive element, and you can see that they are neck and neck. They're absolutely neck and neck, and you can see that they're chasing one another down. They want to beat the other person, and after they set this down, they're going to have to turn around and get back to that farmer's as quickly as possible.
This is outstanding.
Their legs are burning, and their lungs are just trying to breathe. 20 seconds left.
Lane 3, Tim Buck caught back up, but then he dropped the farmers. He caught back up to Ben Thompson, but Brett Thompson now here is getting the lead.
Outstanding.
Timothy needs to finish this.
He really should get over to that yoke.
Oh, Brett needs to pick this yoke up at least once. Come on, Brett.
You can see that he was looking directly at him. If his head was a little more in the game, that was plenty of time to get the yoke out of there.
Now, to play devil's advocate, Brett might have known the only individual he really needs to stay ahead of was Mr. Buck. That being said, I still feel like you leave it up to chance. If you have a few feet, you should probably grab it, because goodness knows if you could have stopped someone else from putting points in between you 2, why wouldn't you want to take that?
Yeah,
so that's an interesting play by him.
I completely agree, and I don't know that anyone had the same distance as him. But if that does come out to a tie, that will hurt his points.
It could. It really could. 'Cause goodness knows what might happen on day 2. But I mean, to round out this day, that was an absurdly fantastic performance by all these divisions. Quickly going over each Pro-Am weight division right now, who placed. So right now in first place in the 82 kilo division, we have Erin Murray. Second place, Jessica Mitchell. Third place, Rachel Bennett with that amazing performance. I believe that is, at least in relation to this event that we just watched. Now, for this event within the 105 men, in first place, we have, what do we got here? In first place, it looks like we have the gentleman Tyler Buxton. Is that correct there?
Yes.
Actually, no.
No, that is in the, yes.
Yeah, so no, actually, in first place, it looks like we have Ryan Fell.
That is
no.
subtotal.
Pardon me. So in first place in this last event, Tyler Buxton in the 105 class, Ryan Fell in second place in the 105 class, and in third place we have Mr. John Parker. Now for the open division women's for this event in particular, in first place, you were correct. Inez Carrasquillo eked out first place.
Very
That's actually her
impressive.
first moving event win of her career.
Extremely
In
impressive.
second place, we have, and then in shared second place with, hold on, 1, 2, 3 individuals.
Three-way tie.
A three-way tie for second place in Gabby Dixon, Poa Hensing, and the third athlete being Monica Johnson. So I'm just going to call that our top 3 because that's absurd. That's amazing.
And that kind of traffic jam at second place really is going to punish not just second place, but the rest of the field.
It really will.
There's going to be a huge points gap, which we're going to talk about in just a minute after we get through this.
Yes, we will.
But that's going to create a points gap, and you're going to see what kind of effect that has on the running total.
Absolutely. And for the, oh my goodness, for the open division program in first place, Jasper.
Oh my
Jasper
goodness.
taking first place, the gentleman with the torn hamstring.
I don't know who's going to smile bigger, me or him. I
Honestly,
think he's got
it might be
I
him.
think he's got me.
In second place was Brett. So Brett actually might have had a good game plan there after watching. So Brett did take second on that event. And then third place, we have the gentleman.
Oh, but it was a two-way tie between Brett and Tyler. So
he
that
could have
hurts
moved
him.
it 2 inches. He would have had.
That hurt him.
Wow.
Yep.
So we'll call that second and third, tied for 2 individuals tied for second in Brett Thompson and Tyler Davis. He really could have picked that up for that. Just 1 foot. Just one
got
foot.
punished for his lack of situational awareness.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, why don't you round out this day for us? Why don't you talk about the points briefly, how this might affect things in going into day 2, and everything we might know, we should know going into day 2.
Yeah. So today, we had the circus dumbbell, we had the yoke farmers medley, and we had the truck pull. It looks like tomorrow we will be having the car deadlift, the sandbag and carry medley, and then the stone load to shoulder. That event might even be subject to change depending on the weather.
Right.
We're going to put on a great show, but we're also going to keep our athletes safe to the best of our ability. And sometimes that requires a little bit of quick thinking and being able to pivot on an event. So there is a chance we'll do a sandbag to shoulder instead of that stone to shoulder, but we're going to see what happens with the weather.
Would you say there was a performance today that really stood out to you amongst all the classes? What stood out to you today?
What stood out to me? I'm gonna have to think on that one because there were so many impressive performances. I do have to say, I guess the first one that comes to mind that's fresh in my mind are both Inez and Jasper on that last event. Both
incredible.
Of those were incredible standouts.
Honestly, for me, the thing that stands out the most, considering her actual total strength ability, but in relation to her performance, 2 that really stand out to me is honestly Rachel Bennett in that medley and Jessica. Like those 2, I think had a wonderful game plan and ended up doing more than one would assume they could, which is really good.
I think Rachel's ability to pace and know where she was at and know what her body was capable of was unmatched in the day.
I would agree.
So I think she selected a pace. She went for it. She was highly fatigued at the end of the event, and she placed well because of it.
Took third because of it.
Yeah.
All that being said, we really want to thank Puget Sound Pizza for being our primary sponsor for this event in particular. They have many locations in Tacoma and Spanaway, Washington. PSB boasts a robust menu with creative pizza cuisine, along with wings and salad and so much more. Thank you so much to Puget Sound Pizza for sponsoring this event and this show as a whole, making it possible for people to make a living in doing something. I guess we're on the way towards that. So again, thank you so much, Puget Sound Pizza. I also want to thank Zach and Carly for joining me today in this wonderful broadcast. And thank you for everyone who watched us today. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Do you think we have time to go over the totals?
Let's do it.
Totals.
Let's do it real quick, guys.
Swiftly.
Totals will be quick. Zach, why don't you take it away? I'll let you run that real fast.
Okay. Let's see if I'm technologically challenged or not.
I can do it for you too if you'd like.
Yeah. So
So that's the totals
Let's
right.
get over here. All right. So our current totals in the middleweight women. In first place, it seems that we have a tie in the total.
Interesting. We have a tie in total.
Yeah, the 12.5 points total for
Erin
Erin
Murray.
Murray and Jessica
Absolutely
Mitchell.
amazing.
So that is they're at 5 points. And then in third place, we have Samantha Ridge at 10 points.
Yes,
So
yes,
that's
we do.
2.5 points between the tie for first and third.
It's anyone's race right now for
Yep.
the 82 class. And what about our 105 class?
All right. So the middleweight men, it appears that our first place athlete currently is Tyler Buxton.
Actually, no, I think it's Ryan Fell with 12.
Oh, yes, I stand corrected. Ryan Fell at 12 points. Second place is Tyler Buxton at 10.5 points. And then third place, rounding out the podium currently, we still have a whole day of competition.
We do.
But in third place, we have Jack Turner.
Yes, we do. Fantastic work by those three gentlemen. We're going to look at the women's open division right now. What do we got, bud?
This is an incredibly exciting division.
This is
I just have to say,
I'm biased. It's my favorite.
Dude, it's so exciting.
Yeah, it's awesome.
We
It's
have
awesome.
a ton of amazing athletes in this class. So in first place, I have to say that I'm not too surprised with her performances. Like her performances were so
consistent,
consistently excellent.
Yeah, they're pretty
is
good.
the way I would put it. Not just consistent, they were okay,
Yeah,
consistently excellent.
Yeah.
And that's Inez. Sorry, pronounce her last name for me.
Carrasquillo.
Okay, I cannot do that. Sorry.
Yeah.
But Inez is in first place with 27 points. In second place, we have Gabby Dixon with 23.5. And then in third place, we have Abigail Deal.
The former 82 kilo.
Yep, with
Amazing.
19.5 points. So there's actually a sizable distance between first and second in that class.
And a bit of a spread.
Yeah, but it is a large class, and that can be made up on the second day.
Absolutely. We have totally different events on day two. Anything can happen. And to round us off with the final class, the men's open division, who do we got, bud?
All right. So it looks like in first place, we actually have Timothy Buck with 30.5
Oh, no,
points.
correct.
Ooh,
Brett Thompson.
Thank you, sir. Brett Thompson with 36 points. And in second place, we have Timothy Buck with 30.5 points. That is, again, that's a pretty big field. A 5.5 point lead
And then
is
third place,
sizable, but it's not insurmountable.
It's not impossible. In third place, we do have Mr. Charles Easton.
Excellent.
25 points.
He has a bright future ahead of him, actually.
Yeah.
I think
He seems very capable.
Yeah, and many years, if he's wise, many years, which,
That's the big one. Be wise.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't get hurt, please.
Yep. Yeah. Pretty please.
So all that said, guys, again, thank you so much for joining this broadcast. Thank you so much for watching the Rainier Classic. And thank you, Puget Sound Pizza, for sponsoring this event in particular. Have a great day, and thank you, guys.
Yep. Fantastic. Thank you so much for watching.